Namaste, good morning, India. I'm so happy to be here again with all of you, and our today's program is the program about our like जो वैलेंटाइन डे है और जो बस वसंत वंश है उसकी पूजा के लिए हैं एंड आई हैव अ गेस्ट विच विल बी जॉइनिंग मी सून तो फिर हम अपनी गेस्ट को जो है ना वो फिर हम बुलाएंगे यहाँ पे सो एज सुन एज माई गेस्ट कम्स फिर हम अपनी बातें शुरू करेंगे और मीनवाइल मैं थोड़ी सी पहले आ गई हूँ ताकि मैं आप लोगों के साथ ना वो कर सकूं बातें करूं और थोड़ा सा आप लोगों को आने वाला कल हमारा तो आज 13 है हैप्पी वैलेंटाइन बोलूं और जिस काइंड टू बी हैप्पी हियर टुगेदर हम खुशियाँ एक दूसरे के साथ शेयर करने से दुगनी चुगनी हो जाती है। नमस्कार, नमस्ते दोस्तों, मैं थोड़ा सा ये लिंक भी काइंडली स्टे विद अस कल मैं ज़रा दोस्तों को ये सेंड करती हूँ ताकि हमारे दोस्त बाकी भी आ जाए और वो शो को मिस ना करें। सो आई विल बी सो हैप्पी टू बी लाइक काइंड ऑफ डूइंग दिस लाइव एवरी डे, लाइक एवरी अदर डे इट बिकम्स माई हैबिट नाउ। अब जिस दिन मैं नहीं आती मुझे उस दिन फिर वो होता है कि मतलब वाई नॉट, मैं क्यों नहीं गई हूँ, मुझे क्या हो गया है, मुझे आना चाहिए और अपने बहन भाइयों के साथ रोज़ाना मिल के बात करनी चाहिए। तो काइंडली आप भी जो है ना अपना दोस्तों को यहाँ पे लेकर आएँ और जितना मुझसे हो सकता है, आई आई डोंट वांट एनीवन कि कोई भूल ना जाए मुझसे, और सब हमारी खुशियों में, हमारे सक्सेस में हमारा साथ ले दे यहाँ पे, और हम सब इकट्ठे हो जाएं। लव फ्रॉम बी, आई कांट स्पेल इट, रोहित कुमार बेगुरास, आई डोंट नो किस तरह स्पेल करते हैं, मुझे वो प्रोनाउंसिएशन स्पेलिंग तो है। थैंक यू सो मच, नमस्कार एंड नमस्ते टू ऑल ऑफ यू। और अब जो है ना हम वो करेंगे अपना जो फेसबुक पे भी मैं ज़रा ये शेयर करूं ताकि वहाँ पे भी वो करें, आ जाए दोस्त हमें मिलाएं। हैप्पी वैलेंटाइन मैम, love you from London, thank you so much Yusuf Chaudhary, love you। hey Yusuf, are you Chaudhary? I have my जो मैंने शूज़ वो खुद से बोलते हैं ना उसको, वो पहने हैं और ये मेरा बड़ा सा ड्रेस है और इसमें लाइक यू कैन सी देयर इज़ ऑल इंडियन रुपीज़, इंडियंस के जितने भी भारत के जो है, लाइक यू सी दैट हमारे हिस्टोरिक जितने भी वो है इस पर हिस्टोरिकली दे हैव ऑल द भारत करंस जो काफ़ी पुराने हैं उसमें हैं, और इसको समटाइम इस तरीके से लोग इसको दुपट्टा भी बना के पहन सकते हैं ना, लाइक जस्ट लाइक दिस, टिंग टिंग, ये भी इस तरह भी पहन सकते हैं आप इसको। वो हाँ एक गाना है कि घूंघट की आड़ से दिल भर का दीदार अधूरा रहता है, तो हम भी जो है ना घूंघट नहीं बनाते, थोड़ा सा हम अपना जो है ना ये घूंघट बनाते हैं अपने कपड़ों से, लाइक इस तरीके से वो लेती होती है घूंघट, ये कपड़े। इट्स बोथ लाइक इट कैन बी सर्व एज बोथ, लाइक जब ससुर आता है तो आप मुंह छुपा लेते हो, हाय जी माशाल्लाह, लविंग साड़ी वन डे, कम इन साड़ी वन डे प्लीज़ कम। हाँ मैं मेरे पास साड़ी है, मैं साड़ी में जल्दी आऊँगी, लेकिन साड़ी कब मुझे बांधने का मसला होता है, एंड आई एम इन अ प्रोसेस ऑफ लर्निंग बिकॉज आई हैव साड़ीज, बट द प्रॉब्लम इज़ विथ साड़ी के मैं उसको कैसे सीखूँ, कैसे मैं बांधूँ, ये भी है ना एक मसला हमारे साथ जो हमें सिखाया नहीं जाता ना, हम अपने वतन से दूर रहते हैं, फिर बहुत सारी चीज़ों का हमें नहीं पता होता। हाँ थैंक यू, लव यू फ्रॉम उड़ीसा, थैंक यू सो मच। आई लव ऑल भारत, चाहे वो अफ़गानिस्तान हो, बांग्लादेश हो, नेपाल हो, पाकिस्तान हो, आई लव एवरी कॉर्नर और हर ज़रा بھارت کا مجھے پیارا لگتا ہے. اور میں ڈیڈیکیٹ کروں گی بھارت کو یہ سانگ جو ہم ایک کامن سویلائزیشن میں رہے ہیں اور ہم ہمیشہ لو سیلیبریٹ کرتے رہے ہیں. تو اس میں جو ہمیں سکھایا جاتا ہے اپنے بھارت کی سویلائزیشن سے پیار, اپنے ہندو اوریجن سے پیار. تو یہ ایک پشتو کا گانا ہے اور میں اس کو ٹرانسلیٹ کر لوں گی. نہیں, اٹس ناٹ پڑھتا ہندو اسکرپچر میں نہیں ہے, بٹ اٹس مائی سویلائزیشن, جو ہمارے کلچر کی میں بات کر رہی ہوں نا, راجستھان میں اور کچھ لوگ کرتے ہوتے ہیں. اینی ویز, یہ میں بولوں کہ ایک گانا ہے پشتو کا, وہ بولتا ہے او بدر تراوڑم سا بدر تپخلوم, او بدر تراوڑم سا بدر تپخوم, درزم در پسے خانہ دیوران سجوگی. یار میں ہندوز مسلمان یم, یار میں ہندوز مسلمان یم, دے یار دا پارا درم سال جارو کما وجوگے او بدر تراوڑم. وہ یہ بول رہا ہے کہ او بدر تراوڑم, اوب کا مطلب ہوتا ہے پانی میں لا رہی ہوں. جس طرح گھاٹ ندی کے کنارے سے ہمارے بھارت کے ہسٹری میں ہم جاتے ہیں, ہم پانی لے کر آتے ہیں ندی کنارے سے. اور جس طرح پتہ ہے نا, وہ دیوداس مووی میں بھی جو ایشوریہ رائے جاتی ہے, وہ دیوا گھاٹ پہ گئی ہے, پانی لا رہی ہے. تو اس طرح یہاں پہ بھی لڑکی کہہ رہی ہے کہ او بدر تراوڑم سابو در تپخلوم, یعنی میں پانی لا رہی ہوں. سابو کا مطلب ہے میں آپ کے لیے پالک بنا رہی ہوں. درزم در پسے خانہ دیوران شجوگی, یعنی میں آ رہی ہوں, جس صبر کرو, آ رہی ہوں نا. جس طرح آپ کے ہوتے ہیں نا, آپ کے ابو جب کہیں جلدی ہو کو کہہ رہے کہ جلدی کرو نا, آ جاؤ, تو پیچھے سے وہ آپ لوگوں کی امی بولتی ہوگی, آپ لوگوں کی جن کی بیوی ہے, کہ بھئی آ رہی ہوں, صبر کرو نا, آ رہی ہوں. تو اس طریقے سے پھر یہ ہے نا کہ یار میں ہندوز مسلمان یم, یعنی میرا جو یار ہے, جو میرا بلاوڈ ہے, وہ ہندو ہے اور میں مسلم ہوں. دا یار دا پارا درم سال جارو کما وجوگے, اور میں اپنے بلاوڈ کے لیے اور اپنے پیارے کے لیے دھرمسال میں جھاڑو لگا رہی ہوں. تو اسی لیے ہم جو اتنا زیادہ ہم میں پیار ہے, کھوٹ کھوٹ کے بھرا ہے اپنی دھرتی ماتا کے لیے, یہ پیار ہمیں سکھایا گیا ہے. نیچر ورسز نرچر, آئی واز نرچرڈ ان ٹو دس لو فار مائی مہابھارت. نمستے فرام انڈیا, لو ٹو افغانستان. تھینک یو سو مچ. کابلی والا فلم دیکھی ہے ڈاکٹر صاحب, اپنے اب تو اتر دے دو, اب تو اتر دے دو. آپ راجستھان کو کیسے جانتے ہو؟ راجستھان از دا پرتھوی راج چوہان کی جو ہے نا, ہمارے فاؤنڈنگ فادر پرتھوی راج چوہان کی جگہ ہے. اینڈ پرتھوی راج چوہان وین دا غوری انویڈیڈ بھارت تھرو غور, and he came to fight him, and he came to fight like he is our hero. میں راجستھان کو کیسے نہ جاؤں؟ آپ انڈیا کب آ رہی ہو؟ بہت جلدی. ویلنٹائن ڈے تو کل ہے. اچھا, یہ اس کی بات ہے, ویلنٹائن ڈے تو کل ہے نا, وہ آج, چونکہ کل گزرا ہوا کل جو ہے نا وہ تھا چائنیز نیو ایئر تھا. آج 13 ہے, کل ویلنٹائن ہے. پھر اس کے بعد سرسوتی جو ہے, کیا نام ہے, وسنت پنچ ہے. تو اس میں کیا ہوتا ہے کہ مجھے جیسن نے کہا کہ کل وہ گیا, وہ جیسے ہی گیا اس نے دیکھا کہ بھئی وہ نئے نئے فلاور ان لوڈ کر رہے تھے ویلنٹائن کے لیے. تو اس نے کہا پھر لوگ بعد میں سارے اچھے اچھے فلاور خرید لیتے ہیں, اور ابھی میں نے چاہتا ہوں کہ میں فریش ہی آ جاؤں. ہماری گیسٹ ہمارے ساتھ ہے. I'm gonna bring my beautiful guest. Kindly share my live with you. We're gonna celebrate love and Valentine here with our guest. Here she is.
Hi, Fazia. How are you?
Okay. Angela, I just muted you because when you will be speaking, I'll be muting myself. And when I'll be speaking, I'll be muting you because of the echo problem, you know? So it's so good to have you here. I'm gonna let you introduce yourself to our viewers. Since you see me, like I'm so much like kind of your business, you work with different people, different cultures in America. So how many people you have been like meeting on the daily basis, on an yearly, like people especially from India who do business with you, and how is the market now? Just first tell us, let's celebrate love. It's Valentine today and you must be expecting some flowers.
I will be sending myself flowers. Thanks, Dr. Fazia, for letting me join you and for being here. Yes, I love Valentine's Day, and because I am single, I do like to refer to it as a Singles Awareness Day. That makes me laugh a little bit. So, let me see. Introduce myself. I've been a realtor for about 10 years now. Pardon me. I've been part of real estate for, I don't know, most of my life. My father is a contractor in Arizona. And therefore, a while, my entire database, it was sort of funny because, obviously being an American, I always say, oh, you can always tell an American because they only speak one language. And when I hear someone who speaks broken English, it makes me happy. And it makes me happy because I know that they speak another language besides English, and I just want to embrace them and learn all about them. And so, as I was saying, in my database, there was a time where, oh heavens, I couldn't pronounce any of the names because I was getting all of these really wonderful referrals to all of these different kinds of people that one does not anticipate meeting in the middle of the United States, aka Omaha, Nebraska. So
So, Angela, you said that you're going to be celebrating it as a single day and sending you flowers, but then you did you shoveled the snow because today one of the coldest day in history of AKA Nebraska.
yes, it is. I think it's the coldest it's been in 85 years. One of the fun things that I do for my client base is I like to stop by their house and bring them things. So in the United States, we have 3 holidays that are very close with each other, that are celebrated. On the 12th, it was the Lunar New Year. The 14th, clearly tomorrow being Valentine's Day. And on the 16th, we have Mardi Gras. So I chose this week to go see 40 of my clients during the coldest day. And I would take a photograph of myself and text it to them because I was not going to knock on the door, wait for them to decide, peer through the glass to see if they were going to answer the door. And plus, I was stopping by completely unannounced. And it was a riot. I just had so much fun. It was just a wonderful thing to do. And you were one of the people that came to the door at the snow. I mean, it doesn't matter how often or how frequently you were shoveling the snow. It was just piling up. It was just piling up. It's been crazy.
You're so right because I was even asking you the same question that when you give me this small the gift for the Chinese Lunar Happy New Year, and Jason's paralegal, she's a Chinese, and they were like cooking a lot of stuff. And then I thought you put these 2 coins in it, and I kept it. I was keeping it somewhere, and I would ask you what they signify. What is the significance of those 2 coins? Beside, you give me your wonderful card and you just give me the gifts. So, can you tell us about those coins?
So in the Chinese New Year is very interesting. When I was doing a little research on it, and they clean everything for the Lunar New Year. But during the Lunar New Year, I think it will go until the 15th of this month, if I'm not mistaken. But the coins, you give coin, or you give money to say Happy New Year and celebrate in prosperity. And so I just thought, the 2 little coins would be just a sweet little thing to remind yourself that, hey, in another culture, it is the new year, and I'm wishing you, as my clients or my friends, good prosperity. So that's why I did that.
Yeah, and Angela, I would like to add that on 15 is 14 is Valentine Day. Yesterday was Chinese New Year, which was kind of the celebration of spring and the prosperity and progress and love. And then on 15 is from in India. We celebrate, like in Hindu culture, Saraswati Puja, and it's called Vasant Panch. It means the Saraswati goddess is the symbol and goddess of knowledge. And yeah, You just say something like, then next is the Basant. Basant is, I'm going to take you this year to Basant. Not Holi. Holi is the kind of, the color. Have you got the chance in UNO, they celebrate Holi? Because I met you, if you remember, Shakespeare on Green. Yeah, Shakespeare on Green, I met you there, and that was the day when we sit on grass and we were like seeing Shakespeare. And then the pandemic hit. I don't know, we missed last year, and this year's, I don't know if there will be any Shakespeare for us. And also the Holi, the color festival, I want to take you to, if we celebrate, it's in March in the UNO, we celebrate that. You can talk.
That would be wonderful. I would so enjoy that.
So how much important is the thing that you are a woman, which for an American, asking an American, you are a woman, this is what the hell. But I'm just saying, because still we are a woman, and you are running, you're a mother, and you have your own business, you shovel your snow, and now in India Modi ji says beti padhao beti bachao, like educate your daughter. And since the Saraswati Puja is the goddess of the goddess of knowledge is a female. So how dear it is to you personally, or what message you want to give to the women in Afghanistan, in Pakistan, in India, who are on the way to this freedom that American women has been enjoying for like 100 years, the right to vote, now this beautiful freedom in everything. It's like overnight they got so much success, and they made the society to accept them, the feminism and their rights, their so many things. Like how many challenges did you face being a woman, being a businesswoman, being a mother? So tell us something about that.
That is a very insightful question. Give me one moment. I was out shoveling snow and I have asthma. So I will say, I started my life trading stock, and boy, that was an eye opener. Even though my father owned a construction company and I'd been around men for a long time, I didn't really understand men because I'm a woman. And so I was working one day, and I was referred to by, I don't know how blunt I can be, but I was referred to by my appendages and not by my name. And I said something to my father, and my father said, Angela, they were very wise words, I have to say this. Listen for one day how men speak to each other. They don't speak to each other like women do. Unfortunately, men, they can change, they can be taught differently. But one of the things my dad said to me was, just look at them and ask them, do you have daughters? And if you do, if you heard a man speak to me, if you heard a man speak to your daughter the way you are speaking to me, how would that make you feel? And a lot of these guys, and if you ever saw the movie Wolf of Wall Street, I was working trading stock during that time. And it was nothing for a man to grab you or touch you or grope you inappropriately. And this was in the 80s. And so I really had to think about that, whether I wanted to stay in that business. And I stayed in that business for 13 years. But when a man would say something to me, I wouldn't turn around and, hey, blah, blah, blah. I would say, hey, listen, do you have a daughter? Oh, you do? Gosh, I really hope no one's treating her like this today. Or do you have a wife? Oh, you're married? Well, you're advancing on me. Would you like some guy advancing on your wife, or another man to advance on your wife? And so I learned ways to be, I learned to say something to them with elegance and grace, instead of what I hear today is just, blah, 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 and a lot of cursing and anger and just inflammation of the emotion. And what I found for me is when I took the inflammation out and just made them aware in a very kind way, that it was quite receptive. And again, particularly when I was trading stock, I encountered this a lot. Now, I've had a couple of different careers in my life, and it's been interesting how men have treated me during these transitions. So, from trading stock, I went into doing some event planning, and I event planned for a very long time. And in the event planning industry, I never had someone be inappropriate to me as far as in that kind of in that situation. They always looked at me as, oh, you're the smart one in this relationship. So what I found now being in real estate, it's quite interesting that when it comes to talking about like the real estate market, most realtors, I think nationally, like over 80% of the realtors, that's not right. Please forgive me, I don't know the national number, but women are, it's substantially more women are realtors than men. And what I find in this industry is that men are quite receptive to my knowledge and what I know, and women second guess me. And so finding the way to balance those kind of things out has been a challenge, but not a challenge that you can't overcome. And in all of my 3 careers, I've always tried to figure out like what's the basis, or why does this person think that they can treat me like this? Or why does this person not think I have the knowledge, skills, or abilities to do this profession? And for me as a woman, I do a lot of introspective thinking of how do I come across as a knowledgeable, skilled human being, even when someone may be, say, for example, trying to dehumanize me. Because I find that when people try to dehumanize you, or they question your intellect, that's something inside of them, and it has nothing to do with you. So resilience was a very big factor in my success in all of my careers. I was just resilient. I wasn't going to let words damage me. Now, I always give the demonstration with my son. I will take and drop a glass. He was saying some unkind things to me, and I dropped a glass and it broke. So I glued it back together. And the next day, I filled it with water and I was drinking out of it. And of course, water's going everywhere. And my son said to me, Mom, what are you doing? And I said, I know that you apologized to me for what you said to me. And that's great. And I'm glad I raised you to be apologetic. But remember your words. Once they're spoken, you can't take them back. And the visual of that broken glass, I was just speaking with him last night, and he said, Mom, that was so wonderful, because I got very angry yesterday and I wanted to say some ugly words. And he said, I just thought back to that broken glass, and I just thought, once you say words to people, you can't take them back. And I've had a lot of ugly things said to me because, again, I've been around the sun quite a few times. But when in my business, when I hear someone say ugly words or unkind words to me, I have 2 truths, mine and theirs. Their truth is not my truth. And so when I speak with people, particularly when I mentor, and forgive me, my phone is blowing up and I just shut it off. When I mentor young people, particularly young women, I just say to them, build your resilience and know your truth and your true north, and believe in yourself even if no one else believes in you. When you set your mind on a goal or reaching a target, you can get off track, which is fine, but continue to stay true to who you are, what you want, and where you want to be, and you will get there.
Thank you so much, Angela. You explain it so well and so much in detail. I just had a question here, which was quite interesting. Like, it doesn't make any sense to me. The question that has been consistently, I want to pin that questions. So the question was, okay. So I don't know. the question was about the how many women in Americas was president and all this thing, and I don't know why kind of the success of women in America, the freedom of women in America, the different professions that women served in, why is kind of be they like around the fact that if a woman is not a president yet, and the women do not have haven't done enough to kind of tell the world what they are, because in Americans democracy, in American today's what in America's being the top of the world, women's played a huge role. And even in the war, when we had the civil war, even at that time I watched a movie like kind of like, even if you see Gone with the Wind, and like so many other movies which I watched, and women were giving like their jewelry. Even in the war of Afghanistan, like this woman who were with Charlie Wilson, she asked American women, she came here and she told them how the peoples are suffering in Afghanistan, and help them. And she encourages congressmen to pass the bill so American government can be involved in that movement. So then Anki Su, Benazir Bhutto, she was a president of Pakistan, but she did some of the worst in the history. Now the Myanmar female president who led their army to do the genocide of Rohingyas people. It doesn't like having a woman president or a prime minister, or having a woman in a, okay, we had a wonderful woman, Ruth, our Supreme Court, she was a woman, and she occupied one of the definitely she had the power, being a attorney of Supreme the judge in the Supreme Court, whom we miss dearly. And now our new judge, she was replaced by another woman. So that doesn't means that when people come to me, hey, as an American, they still are not open to have a female president, or as if our progress and the women like the women achievement, why is in any way it's relate to America not having a female president?
I will tell you, I think as an American woman, that is a very interesting question, because every country in our world has had an American president or American leader. I'm sorry, forgive me, a female president or a female leader or female pick the top position. If I had the answer to that, I think I would make a lot of money. But the other thing that I can say, and this may rub some people the wrong way, but I'm just going to say it, is that I believe that in the United States, we wage war on things. And I come from a perspective of wage love on something. So when America decides to wage war on drugs, or wage war on child trafficking, or wage war, I believe that language and words are very, very important. And getting to my point is that I can't tell you why the United States has never had a female leader. I have no idea. It blows my mind. I mean, when the women's suffrage started here in the United States, the women that started that did not live long enough to ever vote. It was almost 100 years before women got the right to vote. So now we have the right to vote. Very queer, but we have the right to vote. And a lot of women don't turn out to vote. So I believe in America, I've experienced it myself. When I was working on Wall Street, there were a lot of very successful women there, absolutely. But women in the United States, and again, this is Angela Peters' perspective of why we've not had a female president. We have it's a theory in business. It's called the glass ceiling. And my experience with this glass ceiling is that women have constructed the glass ceiling. They have kept the glass ceiling in place. They make the rules of who gets over the glass ceiling and who stays below the glass ceiling. And I truly do believe that, and again, this is 100% my personal opinion, my personal experience, is that in the United States, women very rarely come together as a group and unite. And when they do come together and unite, they're not coming together in a way that is, I don't know, maybe I would say loving or kind. They're coming together in a way to wage war on fill in the blank. So they're trying to influence through more like this than like this. Again, my 100% personal opinion as to why.
Thank you so much. Like as I said, Ruth Ginsburg, she was replaced by Amy Coney. I hope I'm pronouncing it right.
Yes.
So it's she was a woman. She was on the one of the very like powerful seat, and she served from 1993 all the way to up to 2020, and she almost served 27 years as she was one of the most like kind of feminist and strong, and she talked about girls like if I remember one of her quote when she said that if you check a girl's bra at school for drugs, then she never remain a child, or that very moment you made her a grown-up woman. So it's just so like kind of unfair. I don't like that question. Like I've been asked to because now I'm an American, and I just ask, I mean, look at the every field, you know, from art. Like, look, it's just like the O'Keeffe, the painters, and our artists, and the businesswomen, and we had lots of like in every state we had women governor, we had women. Who serves in Congress and Senate, and one of the other, the Nancy Pelosi, she's also a woman, and she has been on one of the very like powerful seat. I don't think so. I mean, I won't after the different kind of people who come and become a president. I don't even miss if a woman is not president yet, because if a woman would be becoming a president, she would be none less than Ruth Ginsburg, and she would be none less than Mother Teresa, and like so it's better let the time comes. Many women came forward who served on as a vice president. Now we have this female Kamala Harris. She's the vice president, and then the third strongest woman, which is in the Nancy Pelosi, because if something happened to president, then vice president become the president. In a way, she is the president. If Joe Biden is not around, if she will be serving as the president too. Like for example, if he goes overseas or something, or God forbid if something happened, then she will be the president. And then if something happened to Kamala, then we have another woman, Nancy Pelosi, she would be the president. So it's kind of a little bit to know the culture orientation is not appropriate of people who live outside United States, and it's just unfair. Angela, we have Rohit Sharma. He's from India, and he's a journalist. I'm sure he has some question from you or me, because I see him here in the studio with us. Ji Rohit, namaste.
Namaste. Yeah. Ma'am, I have a question for you. The question is that how long will it take for America to have a lady president? Because we have seen whenever a lady comes to the post of a president of a prime minister, she works better than other predecessors like Golda Meir or Indira Gandhi. They are really powerful. They're really strong. They take strong decisions. So we are still waiting for a lady president.
Yes, Angela, he's asking you a question if you heard him.
I did.
Rohit, can you say it again? Let me.
Yeah, ma'am, my question was that in how much time do we expect a lady president in America? Because we have seen whenever a lady comes to a post of president or prime minister, she is far more stronger than her predecessors. As in the case of Indira Gandhi and Golda Meir, they took better decisions and stronger decisions. So we would like to see one lady president in America as well.
I would like to see a lady president in America as well. As far as that timeline goes, again, I wish I had a crystal ball and I could say when. I do believe that there are strong women in the United States who can and would be great presidents. However, I don't know what the why behind their election or not being elected or not running is. And when I look at women who consider politics or want to run into politics, I don't think they have the emotional wherewithal, particularly in the United States, because it is, I just honestly don't believe that they have the fortitude to have their lives completely ripped apart, particularly in America, to look at why they may not want to run or why they just don't have it in them to do this job, which is a large job and very important job. And I think that they would be at many times far better than a man to do that job. But I cannot answer that question and wholeheartedly say, oh, I know when. I would hope within the next 3 to 5 elections, maybe the next 20 years. That's my hope before I die, to see a woman president. But I'm very hopeful that that will happen, but I don't know for certain.
That's a very good question. That's right. We don't know. But as the freedom that women have individually, like me, and I'm just showing my face, I can put makeup, I can blow my hair, I can dance, That's the freedom. I can drink. I mean, I have a nice wine later. Jason, bring me flowers. That's what women did. Angela, particularly one of my cousins, she lives in London. And especially when I was going to Alaska, usually me and Jason, we go to, I love old places. Then we see tell us the washing machine that West developed for their women, how to wash clothes. In our countries, women are still washing clothes with sabun, mal ke, like ting, ting, ting. They're like kind of putting soda and many women in our culture do not have toilets, they don't have washing machines. And even in Pakistan, some women would say they would compare the American women freedom with the rate of divorce. That the happiness they think is if there are less divorces in a society, that's a more prosperous society. But in another way, nobody can mess with an American woman, and they says, well, you have to be very careful. Jason has to be very careful with me because I know my rights are protected here. I know I always have a way out. I know nobody's prejudiced toward me if I break up, if I get divorced. Unlike in Eastern culture, no matter how much your husband beat you, no matter how badly he treat you, they even burn you sometime, and you stay in a relationship just because you think it's taboo. And then our men is doing that the West, when they are comparing especially the Pakistan with the West, with America, this is the way the clothes, like the Pakistani prime minister, they think like if a woman get a certain haircut or wear certain clothes or talk in a certain way, is like in a certain way, I mean, like if a woman wear jeans, shorts, bikinis, that's sad and ironically, but then it's okay with them if a woman is covered wearing burqa and she has 3 kids with her and begging the entire day in sun, in heat, and just because she's covered, and sometimes she don't take showers for 3-4 months, and even the kids, she don't have enough food to feed the kids. But then these men are okay with that woman. But a woman who's empowered, who's self-sufficient, who feed herself and her kids, who has like you, and they think that's kind of something it's a taboo. So what is the taboo for us in America? Tell us the taboo. What's taboo for us?
Women in America. I don't know. I think that taboos that I think are taboo are things like prostitution. But have a lot of prostitution and child in our country. I think taboo still is having an external marital affair. Taboo, we don't have the taboos of against drinking and divorce. Our taboos they're very small. And I said, like, the ones I can think of are, selling your body, extramarital affairs. I think our taboos are based more on morals and values than I don't know. I just think I'm racing in my head trying to think of what's a taboo.
Can I tell you, I guess, what's taboo for us
Yes.
in America? I guess you said it's bad to have an affair, extramarital affair, but if you are caught, your husband and society do not have the right to dig a hole in the ground and throw stone at you and keep throwing in until you die. Stoning to death.
True.
For what is that called? For having extramarital sex, or what we call zina, that's taboo. If a men and women stand on a cold like this outside, and if they make a child to beg and stay there for a whole day, the child protector will come and will take their child away. That's a taboo here. We don't have that here. If a man slightly raise hands on women, the 911, the cop will come. Especially Omaha has a zero tolerance policy toward them. You will go to jail. If you rape immediately, even if a woman tell you stop, if she's even your wife and fiance, and you don't stop, she's gonna call the cop, and you're gonna go to jail for that. If you keep ogling at me while I'm wearing shorts, or if I'm in a bikini on a beach, nobody's allowing you to call and tell me you're a bitch, because I'm gonna call the cop, and you're gonna go to jail. So these are the taboo for us. And regarding the question, this guy Hindu Vichardhara, he's saying, Fauziya ji, I don't support your point of view. I'm divorced and my family, friends, Indian society are okay with it. Well, I didn't say that I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about maybe the Prime Minister Imran Khan, what he said. Bharat is a country which our civilization span around centuries and hundreds of years, and it includes Pakistan, Afghanistan, and India, and Bangladesh, and Nepal. If I'm saying that thing, I may be referring to Pakistan, Afghanistan, or some of the people in India too. So don't take anything personal here. We're talking about a society. We're not talking personally about anyone who has divorce. And I guess, Angela, that would too be a taboo. If somebody steal from you, let's suppose they steal something, would you support that for the theft their hands should be cut?
That's to me, that our point of view here in America is that would become extreme, that punishment doesn't fit the crime. That's a little.
Angela, I have here, somebody has posted, you're gonna take me, I'm gonna get that haircut. Actually, Jason said that too, but yes, 2 days ago in one of my podcasts, I was talking about my hair. I says, I had long hair and now I cut it. Now I don't know what to do with it. I'm just stuck with it. And then I'm saying I'm gonna chop it and take it like Angela, because I've always loved your hair too. That's so true. You have very beautiful hair. जी रोहित शर्मा, आप क्या पूछना चाहते हैं हमारी मेहमान से, मुझसे?
One question, which goes to both of you. Now that you've seen women on almost all the posts, they've been presidents, they've been prime ministers, they've been judges, they've been in army. They are, in fact, their work has been appreciated by everybody. what do you think is the next level of women liberation? Was the next step of giving justice to women? Was the next step of bringing the two genders to equality? Yeah, you didn't get me?
Yes, I think the next step to bringing equality, and I think if you're specifically asking about the United States, is, again, Angela Peters' perspective, is that a lot of people in our country, like if you, and I'm going to get biblical here. There's a phrase in the Bible that says, "Women, respect your husbands." And a lot of people like to unpack that as, a little bit, if your husband says, go beg on the street corner, which of course in America, they don't really have that privilege to do something like that. But in our society, a lot of people will like to claim Christianity and not practice Christianity. But what we see a lot of is the equality, biblically speaking, equality was never meant for the sexes to be equal. They were meant for them to come along side by side, and you know your roles and I know my roles. I'm not saying that we need to get rid of Christianity, because I would never say get rid of any kind of religion, but I would say that the opening up the mind and opening up the
Ma'am, here I would like to interrupt you. Here I'd like to interrupt you. There is nothing wrong with that, because Christianity is the religion which burnt Galileo just for saying that Earth goes around the sun, because Christianity has been very adaptive. So I don't think Christianity is going to do anything about it when they say that men and women are equal. Christianity is the religion which gave us everything, every science, technology, every medicine. If you say vaccines, now of course other countries have come up, other religions have come up, but they started everything. They started with going to space, they started with everything. So even going to space wasn't allowed in Bible or in other religions. So do you think that Christianity is such a parochial religion that it will stop the elevation of women? I don't think so. Christianity has been leaving Bible aside and progressing.
I do not believe that the Bible or Christianity is what is keeping this this inequality, but I do run into, and I do in what I do, I hear people quite often say, "Oh, men will never be equal, women will never be equal to men, because in the Bible we're not equal. We come beside each other and we have different, I guess, different positions in the Bible." Now, these are my friends who are Christian, who say that, "Oh, I could never run a company, or I could never do, be a president, or I could never do, drive an 18-wheeler or drive a big truck, because I am a woman." And when I start digging into my friends or my colleagues or people that say things like that, sometimes oh, I was just not meant to do that. Biblically, I'm not designed to do that. Now, that's what I hear from my circle of influence and from my friends. That's what I hear. To answer your question directly, equality, I think, is going to be an ongoing conversation for many years to come. And I cannot fully say what it's going to take for the sexes to become equal. And when we talk about equality in the sexes, it is just really, truly an answer that I think that we would all like to figure out and come to the answer, but I don't know.
Well, I wanted to add something here. In America, church and White House has two separate ways to go. Church, never any religion. We have, you can or you cannot practice a religion. It's our First Amendment. Nobody would kill you if you don't do certain things. In fact, the Salman Rushdie, who wrote Satanic Verse, many fatwas came, and he was American people. We respect life, we value life. Even in our state, we don't have a capital punishment. It's just things are changing, as Angela said. It's going to change more. In 2014, we had passed the law in Obama's era to have gay marriages. We legalized gay marriages here. And then kind of other nations follow the footsteps of America, and now they have legalized gay marriages. While in Saudi Arabia, finally they gave freedom to women to drive. And yesterday, that journalist was also released who back in 2017 entered Saudi Arabia from United Arab Emirates, and she was driving and she was taken to jail, and MBS Mohammed bin Salman gave him the personal pardon for doing that act, and now she's free. So it's just the level of like when you get what, and what is the level of freedom, or the level of advancement for somebody. Like in America, nobody's stopping you to practice your religion. In fact, Angela might have seen right in our neighborhood, we have a big Hindu temples, we have a Temple of Israel's, we have a big church, and we have a nice beautiful mosque which they built on $9 million, the tri-faith area. And peoples are very open to culture, people are very open to immigrants. It's just kind of when you're born on this land, you become a citizen automatically, if even your parents are vacations there from India or some other part of the world. The fact is that Angela is a successful woman. She's running her own business, she's working, and if she wanna date someone, she's free. If she wanna choose a life partner, she's free to do that. Her mom, me, Angela would go and tell a man if she likes, hey, would you come and have a drink with me tonight? She's not gonna tell her mom, mommy, just kind of you ask the rishte wali and the proposal lady, and so she can find me a good suit and match. So we peoples vary. What keeps us together is Vasudeva Kutumbakam. It's a Sanskrit word which says world is one family. So Angela, tell me, what about you think about the world is one family, Vasudeva Kutumbakam? Do you believe the different, like even when I met you on Shakespeare on Grass, there you had a girl from India who was working for you. So how much you know about India? Just tell us some fun fact about India.
Fact about India. I would like to visit. My son went to school with two lovely girls from India. They were very lovely, and their mom just adored me. They have since moved back to India. And I have a beautiful scarf that she gave me. It's upstairs. I will not go get it. But anyway, what I know about India is unfortunately not a lot, but it's enough to know that on my bucket list of places to travel in the world in the next 3 years, India is on that list. And I believe a lot of it has to do with, because I sort of dig Mother Teresa. I liked her lifestyle. Her lifestyle was a little extreme for me, but I liked her heart and what she did. And it was Mother Teresa, and I don't know the exact quote, was invited to a war on fill in the blank. And Mother Teresa turned around and declined and said, when you have a peace rally, I'll be there. And I think that's what, and you go back to Gandhi and the tax on salt from England, and you look at I look at it as a very peaceful country. That's how I see it from my perspective here in the United States. So that's what I know about India, which is not a lot.
That was a lot. Trust me. Gandhi and Mother Teresa who worked there, and me and Angela. Do you do yoga? Do you know anything about yoga?
I do a lot of yoga. My go-to yoga is Bikram yoga, the hot yoga, because it makes my mind shut off. Then I do some flow other things. But Bikram is my favorite.
I have a question for you here. Sanjeev Dar is asking, what religion do you follow?
Ooh, that's a good question.
We don't talk about it. You're free not to answer. You don't have to answer.
I basic is Christianity, but I also take in a little bit of some other things as well. You know, I look at when I'm doing yoga as a religious practice for me. I enjoy having conversation about other religions and finding out about and discovering and learning about other religions, because I do suppose that because I was born and raised in the United States of America, we do have the freedom of religion and we can talk about religion. And, you know, I have been into a Jewish temple. I have celebrated Ramadan. I have been free to experience other religions living here in America without fear of something dastardly happening to me.
It's kind of pop up. And I just want to see. That's so biased of me. No, I'm not biased towards any one of you when it comes to Jason and them. I care for all of them equally. And there's a question: Indians are peaceful people who believes in simple philosophy. Live, let live. That's a good one. So Fauzi ji, there is a question for me and Rohit. Will we ever talk about men right? Don't you think only talk about women right is race? No, Angela should also answer this question because she has a son, and how she's teaching her son to have a men rights.
That's a very great question. I do like that question. So my son and I were on holiday in December, and he was holding a door open for a young girl and her mom, and my son is 16. And so he opens the door, being, I think, just a decent human being. And the young woman walks past him and in a very nasty way says, "I can open up my own door. I don't need you to do it." And my son said, "Well, I know you don't need me to do it, but you see that woman right there? That's my mom. She raised me to open doors for everyone, not just people like you." And this girl's mom looked at me and she said, "Oh, thank you so much for raising a son that has manners." And I said, "Well," and this is just me, because this, as you know, this is how I am. I said, "Well, maybe you could do a better job at raising a daughter to have manners toward my son." And talking about man rights here in the United States, people will say, "Oh, white men are becoming the minority, or white men are being discriminated against." And it's almost like this, you're seeing this reverse discrimination coming in. And some people will talk about reverse discrimination against the white male in the United States. It's true. We are an Anglo-Saxon country. White people came to this country. They almost eradicated the Indians, or what they called the American Indians, or the North Americans that lived on this country, to be here. And just teaching my son to be a decent, kind, warm human being. And, his rights are, he comes home and says to me, "Mom, these girls in school are showing me their breasts, or they're asking me to do inappropriate things with them. How do I decline that?" And we talk about those things. So I made it very safe for him to talk to me pretty much about anything he wants to talk to me about. And he does. And, my comment to him was about the girl that kept showing him her breasts. I said, that's not appropriate. It doesn't matter who you are. And so my son looked at her one day and said, "Listen, I think you need some help. Do you understand that by showing me your breasts, that's not right. That's not how I was raised. You shouldn't be doing this because it's not appropriate." And my son went and talked to his school counselor about it, and some inappropriate things were happening with this girl at home, and she thought it was appropriate as a 16-year-old girl. That's how she showed love. And so I guess maybe just teaching my son that, just to be a decent, kind human being. And just because someone shows you that in a very sexual manner, you don't get to take advantage of that. It's not your right or your privilege to take advantage of that. You need to step in and perhaps help that person.
Thank you so much. Now, Rohit, can you answer the same question?
Yeah. Now, there are two things. Firstly, the rights for men is often called human rights. There are these human rights are for males, females, and transgenders, right? This we all agree for. Transgenders is also a community which needs rights, which needs affection and love. Coming back to the point, once you give human rights to everybody, then you see who's more oppressed, and then you give some more rights to women. Maybe most of the women I know are not oppressed, but if you go into the rural areas of Asia or Africa, there is oppression, and if there is oppression, we need to give them some rights. First of all, secondly, yeah, of course, there is some injustice when it comes to the law. Like in India, the domestic violence law is only for women. If wife is beating her husband, there is nothing known as domestic violence there, right? So there are laws for women, and we need to work on it. But still, I would say that giving right to women, more rights to women, uh, is necessary because they are highly oppressed in the rural areas. If you talk about Africa, Asia, to an extent America also, then there are a lot of problems, and they are oppressed, they are forced into sexual slavery. So we need to give them more rights. That's why we don't talk about men's rights. And another thing, even after giving so many rights to women, this kind of injustice or this kind of atrocities are not stopping. So we need to do even more, because the people who are oppressing them are males, and then the person sitting in the police station is again a male. So if you see, it's a kind of caucus they made. In some Islamic countries, one lady cannot go to a police station and say that my husband has beaten me, because the person sitting in the police station is also a male. He won't write a police complaint, and even if he writes the police complaint, then the law comes in, and the law is made in favor of the males. They're trying to oppress the female. That's why I think uh, it'll be better for us to tolerate this kind of an injustice, if you call it injustice towards males. But we need to work for females who are oppressed. Most of the females you have seen, I think Hindu Vichardhara, you have seen maybe enlightened females, but if you look at Bombay or Delhi, there are females who are subjected to atrocities inside the home, inside by their own ones, their own near and dear ones. So I think we need this kind of a law at the moment. Maybe in future we can have better laws.
Thank you so much. There's Arpan Saha se question hai. Fauza Didi, have you heard that Arif Bhai was sent a threat letter from America? I heard it on Jaipur Dialogue. Is it Arif Ajakia? I don't know. I'm going to have a podcast with him on Monday, and then we will find out together. I don't know. I haven't heard anything. Uh, this is, says Arif Bhai make website specific for Balochistan from beginning to till date and do digital marketing on various digital it will support you as much as possible. Arif Ajake is, by the way, coming on my show on Monday, and we will talk to him about that. And there is one suggestion, Fauzia, one suggestion. You see, Adyogi, the first man to do yoga, was half women, half men. And why shouldn't we see everyone as human being? Gender should be the matter in bedroom and bathrooms. Angela, what do you say about this one?
Reading it because I don't think I'm understanding it specifically. Yeah, I do believe we should see everyone as human beings. It's very funny as a realtor when I have parties, like, Fazia keeps going back to meeting at Shakespeare on the Green. We had transgenders, we had bisexuals, we have people that have open marriages. I mean, the people that I surround myself with, I don't look at their label that they wear. I look at them as human beings. And it's very fun because a lot of my clients, there's a bar here in Nebraska. It is called the Max. It is a largely known gay bar, but it's one of the only places to go dancing in Omaha, Nebraska. So once a year, I will invite about 125 of my clients to go dance there. And it's very interesting because some of my clients who are not quite as liberated in their mind, who will come in, they'll just look around and they're just like, what are we doing here? They wind up having a great time. So I do believe that in the content of the question, that seeing everyone as a human being is the number one. From my perspective, I see human kindness being first, seeing the human being.
Sorry, I'm just taking a little time before I lost where my arrow is because I have to unmute and mute to keep this voice balance. Yeah, there was one question which is kind of crazy. Fauja ji, why are the reason Islam and Christianity is in whole the world but Sanatan is in India? That's not true. We have a lot of Hindus in America now. It's just so that's a very biased question. Vashudeva Kutumbakam, world is one family, and everyone in this family has the freedom to choose the path they want to choose for themselves. The reason I bring Angela here is that the first thing, I love her hairstyle. The second thing, I love her balloon when she bring it on the Shakespeare on green or grass. The third thing, I love Shakespeare. I grew up reading Shakespeare, and I memorized his books. And when there, I would just keep talking to some of the people, and we were kind of back and forth when we were leaving. I says like, adieu, sweet angel, I'll see you tomorrow, and parting is such deep sorrow, until we met again. And even the other guy, he knows like more than I knew because maybe his memory was fresh. Mine was like kind of 10 years ago, and it was wonderful that she invited me there, and then she had brought a lot of sweets and like so many drinks, and she's a generous person who always drops gifts, and she's having, I'm sure she has a huge client base. Like, tell us, Angela, a little bit about how you managed to kind of get the client, because it's a very I myself I was a finance manager I was in finance in Ford Motor Vehicle, which was here, and for me it was like really hard to kind of know the person that they're gonna buy or they're gonna waste my time. Or I mean, how much you think that you at this stage is able to read a person that, okay, this person is not gonna waste my time and they're gonna buy this is a serious buyer or a serious client? Do you still think that giving your time to someone who's not gonna buy from you, but you spend your whole 2 days which you would be doing something else, do you still, that's also a process of your learning? Or now you just kind of tell those customers, you just know what they're gonna do? Are they gonna buy, or they're serious buyers? Or just tell us something about how you deal with the kind of find customers and then selling, and then some customers who waste so much of your time and they end up buying nothing from you. And tell us something about that, Angela.
That's a lot of questions, but I'll try. The very first thing that I do is
the only question was just like, it's kind of, I put it in a different way, but the question was just one: how you can deal with the person who's gonna buy and then they don't buy, they waste your time, and how you find the customers, and how's your strategy for raising the more volumes to the the customers that you're getting to do business with.
I got it. So 100% of my business is referral based. In October of 2011, I served my husband divorce papers and I passed my real estate exam, and I left with my clothes and my child. That was it. And I just started beating the streets. I knew a lot of people here, passing out my business cards. And going back to the question of human kindness, I've never looked at wasting time if someone cannot buy a house. Now, I know pretty quickly off the bat whether they can afford to buy a house or not, because they need to have a pre-approval letter. But if I have a pre-approval letter from them and something happens and something falls through, I never look at it as wasted time. I look at it as I built a relationship with that person and I know that person. And now I maybe know a little bit about that person, or I have a huge part of my business. They're Muslim and they're from Jordan. I spend Ramadan with them. And some of my clients are Pakistani and some are Indian. I have some that are from, they speak Karen. They're from, my goodness, please, I can't remember the country off the top of my head. Siam is what I would call it. But I have a roommate of mine. I have a little apartment in my house. She's from Togo. So all of these people that I spend my time with, I just learn from them. And I learn about them. So I don't look at it as being a waste of my time if they can't buy a house, but they know other people that might be able to buy a house. And I say to my clients, well, maybe you can't buy a house today, but someday you'll buy a house. And when that someday comes, you will use me to be your realtor. And I've had that happen time and again, that people will come back to me and say, thank you for working with us for the last 3 years while we get, whatever in order so we can buy a house. So it's very nice. I look at them first as being human and then wanting to buy a house.
Thank you so much, Angela. We have a last question from Rohit. Rohit, you want to add something, because we're gonna end the show too, and then I have to give my message, and then Angela is gonna give a message. And what you want to say to Angela, me, or the viewer?
Just because one person said that there is no way to become a Hindu, so I would like to say that there is a way to become Hindu. In Bhagavad Gita, it is written that you just submit on to me. Lord Krishna has himself said, just submit yourself to me and I will do whatever is needed for you. So in any case, ISKCON is it makes you a Hindu. You don't need to any conversion to become a Hindu. Once you start practicing Hinduism, you become a Hindu. There is nothing known as conversion in Hinduism, and you don't need to convert, because our God, a Hindu God, is not subjected to any law called conversion. Conversion is another law which the God has made, and God now is bound to that law. How can it be? If the God is supreme, how can the God be bound to one law? This is what Hinduism says, that you don't need to go through anything. You just come and pray and you can become a Hindu. There's no such thing called conversion, and there's no need for conversion in Hinduism. Your mic is muted.
Okay. Thank you, Rohit Sharma. You explained it well. But the problem with especially the Asians are like, peoples are like so much snowflake, I would say, that even in the questions, I was talking, Angela, about her being a woman and doing a business, having a son, being a mother, being a single parent, the pandemic, happiness, Basant, and Chinese New Year's, Vasant, the Saraswati Puja, and the Valentine, and every other person, as if we have some sort of obsession with religion. And that's not good. Try, whoever conditionalize you into this, that the only thing you're going to talk about is religion. Okay, religion is your very personal matters. Nobody has given me the right to talk about it. Yeah, if I'm talking about what I believe, what my view is, that's good. But a lot of people are just coming and they're leaving comments on me and the guests that I invite, that, oh, first you do this, then you do this. Okay, stop this harassment on the comments on my videos and also here. If you don't have anything better to say, just shut your mouth. Okay, And that's my question to you, because one guy who says, I don't get that, like he writes something good, like the lure of coming onto screen is so big that people don't mind bad mouthing about their own nations. I don't know, what do you mean by this? You know, in America, when we had the problems of Jeffrey Epstein's and Larry Nassel's, who was molesting little kids and child, and at that very moment, we start having problems with that person. It wasn't anything saying bad about my nations in America, or if I'm talking about stoning women in Afghanistan is bad thing, or women sitting on the street begging entire days on the pavement with their child in their lap, and they're begging people, and they're doing prostitutions under burqa, that I'm gonna talk about, and it's not talking anything bad about my nation, okay? And if in Pakistan tomorrow is Valentine Day and they're gonna take you and put you in jail, why? Because you're celebrating Valentine and it's behayai, and if you're not married to a girl, so being eligible and giving flower to a girl, going out on a date with a girl, the only way to be eligible for that, if you marry her or do nikah with her, then she's stopped doing that. I told you, at 16, 17 age, that can be the age of sex. You can have sex, you can have boyfriend, but Angela would agree with me that that's not the age of marrying at 16, 17, and going to a home and bearing a child and looking after the entire army of mother-in-law, father-in-law, brother-in-laws. Just stop this harassment here. Stop this obsession with religion. You know, you guys are all kind of revolving around this one thing. Religion, 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 okay? And where I haven't started this podcast on religion, I haven't said anything about that. And now you guys are just leaving the comment about totally about as if we are having some sort of Tariq Jamil sermon here. So it's not a Tariq Jamil sermon. And I mean, just please be a little bit civil. Angela, yeah, can you answer the question that I just asked you? The question, Vaporize, I hope you still know what I asked you, because I kind of got hyper a little bit. Because you were confused in a way as if you might have felt that we may be inviting you toward Hinduism. No, I'm not preaching Hinduism here, and I'm not going to make you Hindu. You're a free person. You can choose for yourself. Just kindly tell us about what I said. Just comment on it. Just make it fun. Have fun.
I had no idea what I was getting into when I agreed to come on this show. 15 minutes before I got on this show, I was just getting in a shower. For some reason, we woke up with a lot of snow and I was shoveling snow. So this is me in 15 minutes being on a world podcast. But what was your question again, Fazia?
I don't know. The question is like, okay, I put this so many traditional. When I was coming from, let me show you. I just don't know how to show you my leg. I have to show it my leg to you now. Oh, Angela, like this is jingle bell, and this is my big dress, and I'm gonna make you wear one of these. One day you and I are wearing Afghan dress and sari.
I'm wearing and I got my
nice. I have this. Wait, let me sit here, and then I can show you my. Oh, my dress is so big. Show you my shoes. This is what I'm wearing, and I'm the boss.
You're the boss.
Me and Jason is watching Malcolm in the Middle. He says, you're not the boss of me now. Sometime, Angela, we wear this like, if you want to wear a hijab, we can wear it just like this in one piece. Oh. Okay.
I love it.
So, I'm going to make you wear sari because you're so petite and pretty, and you have to give me the secret of you staying in shape and pretty. Jason was telling me the only reason to go viral, just go. I'll make you video sit inside, and you keep shoveling the snow, the driveway. You see the Jason's driveway. It's just the biggest driveway in the whole Omaha, and I say no, thank you. Yeah, you can't. I
Notice
told
as
you.
I came, I did look around, so I didn't think I'd get out.
No, we are not harassing anyone. Like I told you, just it's a good day. It's my Saturday. I left everything and I bring Angela. She was doing her work, and I told her, Angela, you should stop doing what you're doing. Just get on my pass card. That was not true, Angela. You forgot about it. Talked to you a week ago, and you gave me 2 times, and I pick.
You picked one, and I did honestly forget.
You are a bad girl. You forgot about my podcast, and you just hop in. Oh, Fauzi, just go get. I'm gonna. And see, that's the beauty. Sometimes when I knew you're so beautiful, that's the good thing. That's the package comes when you're born beautiful. You wake up from your bed and you look so pretty. People can see you. People can see you off makeup. So yeah, I become a hyper. I'm a provocative, impulsive person. I mean, nothing I can do about it. So, do you have any problem with me being a provocative and impulsive? Anyways, there is one other guy, Vardik Arya, Arpan Saha, and Gaurav Chauhan. Good to
Hey,
have you
namaste
guys.
from me.
Namaste. Namaste. Do you have any question for me or Angela? Because Angela, you must be tired. You know, it's almost 1:21. Just kind of please give me the thumbs up when you get tired and you just want to, it feels like, I want to go and get my coffee. What the hell? I don't want to be in this podcast. Yes, G, ask any question from me, or do you have any question for me and from our beautiful guest, Angela?
Good evening, Dr. Saiba.
Yes, yes.
Actually, just tell me the start point of your discussion. What was the question?
The question, we were talking about love. Just give message. It's Valentine Day. I got flowers, and I have a genie in this. I have a genie. When you come this time, Angela, I'm gonna throw the genie out, and he's gonna fulfill all our wishes. Yes, you were saying something. I didn't hear you, Angela.
Yeah, I said, my voice is echoing.
I'm gonna mute myself, and you should say whatever you wanna say. Then we have to go.
Happy Valentine's Day to all lovebirds. And what is most beautiful to your august guest is that wherever she is sitting, whatever I'm able to see, that the fire which is behind her to keep her warm. It is very, very, very beautiful. It is it is an add-on on the charm.
Thank you very much.
Yes, the fire, the goddess of fire. We were like, Angela, we are Zoroastrians and we are fire worshipper. So one day we are gonna do the fire puja.
Okay.
We are open for everything.
Yeah, ma'am.
And me and Angela is gonna go to a Hindu temple. We are gonna wear the sari, and Angela, I'm gonna put one thing like this.
Okay.
And I'm gonna do your makeup, all this.
Ma'am,
Yes.
fire is the most sacred among the elements. We have 5 elements: earth, water, fire, sky, and air. These are the 5 basic elements of any life to generate and propagate and die as per the time. These are the five basic elements: earth, fire, water, sky, and air. And among these five basic elements of existence, fire is the most sacred among the elements. And why it is sacred?
Thank you so much for
Because
telling us
fire
that.
burns everything.
Yeah, and fire make you food.
Fire
to
is not
fire
contaminated.
Yeah. So we have other guests too. Arpan Saha, do you want to ask any question?
No, I don't have anything to ask as such. I just wanted to say that your dress is looking awesome, and I think that there is some similarity between uh, Afghan, Pashto, and Rajasthani and Sindhi, Gujarati culture because we have a lot of similarity in the kind of dresses that we see in Rajasthan, Sindh. So the dress is looking awesome, and I just wanted to say that it was a good show, and I loved listening to your guest. Thank you for coming.
Yes, Angela, it's they're thanking you for coming and just sitting with the fire and the fire dragon lady. You're the fire queen. Do you watch Game of Thrones? You're the you. What was that girl who had dragons and they were blowing fires? Khaleesi. You're our Khaleesi now.
There you
Okay,
go.
Khaleesi, say something about your being sitting by the fire.
It is, I believe, because I use Celsius, I think it's minus 23 today, but the sun is shining. But my house is an old house, and I have a gas fireplace, and it keeps my house pretty warm. I like it.
Then can I contribute?
Yes, please.
Among the five elements which I elaborated just now, we Hindus, we Hindus take fire as a feministic form of energy. So what I'm able to say is that all three girls, Dr. Fauzia's August guest, and the fire behind her. Fire is fire is a feministic form of energy, though very high in temperature, but actually it is basically the mother who creates all and who extinguishes all. This is what my thing is. And Dr. Fauziya, you are looking too beautiful. You are looking too beautiful. And what Arpan has just s-
I'm gonna
elaborated
show you
just now,
outside the snow
your
how cold it is, and I'm gonna show you the dress. I'm gonna make Angela one day come and wear this dress with me, and I'm gonna teach her the Hindi dance and Pashto dance, and we celebrate love. Angela, I'm gonna send you flower because she is expecting flower from someone. Come.
to Angela ma'am, can I
Wait.
tell something?
Wait. Just it's. I hope it's not the echo. Look, this is the dress. Make it a little bit forward, Jason. Yeah, look, this is the dress. Like, that's so big. That is just like the medieval era dresses when we would wear it. Oh, that's so cold. Why are you just bringing me here? Let's go. I'm snowy. Jason, let's go inside. I'm so cold. I'm so cold. I don't know. Jason does this experiment with me, so I have to see the ouch. Oh, my dress is sweeping everything around the way.
Ma'am, Angela ma'am, can I unmute?
Yes, please. Yes,
To
please.
Angela ma'am, to the August guest of Dr. Fauziya.
Yes, please.
Ma'am, Indus Valley civilization is the, to my perception, is the only civilization which celebrates the colors of a spectrum. That is Vibgyor, violet, indigo, blue, yellow, orange, and red. Vibgyor.
You missed green. You missed
This
green.
is the G. Violet, Vibgyor. Violet, indigo, blue, green, yellow, orange, and red. This is the visible part of a spectrum, the energy which we get from sun. Beyond violet, it is ultraviolet, and below to red, it is infrared. These seven colors comprise the whole cosmos. And for Hinduism, cosmos is the feminism because any life, if it is out on earth, if it is out in the universe, it comes from the womb of the mother. We Hindus, we the dwellers, we the denizens, we the successors of Indus Valley civilization, we celebrate feminism. This is what my take is. Dr. Fauzi, please. I'm muting my mic.
Okay, thank you so much. I mean, you said it all exactly. We celebrate colors. We celebrate colors in America too. It's the blue flag and the red, and it's just, if Angela tell us, do we have any color festivals there?
Not aware of them. But we do have things that are called color run, and you can go run a 5K or a 10K, and they throw this color dye at you. So it is a celebration of the colors, but it's more of a run than a celebration of the colors, if that makes sense.
But we have that celebration. You go on the bike to the South Dakota where everyone's go nude, and the bikers celebrations. Like we have also some crazy celebrations. The hiking, biking.
Like the Harley Davidson celebration in, oh my goodness, where is that? I don't know where it is.
North or South Dakota, it's there.
Something like that.
Yeah.
So for
We
yes,
have in
and I add
Omaha, we have
something.
the Go Big Red Day, the corn huskers. That is one of the celebration. Yes, please. Yes,
Uh,
please.
yes, I would like to say what our previous gentleman Harshit he was saying. So one of the thing about our culture is, if you see, we have embodied feminism as part of our cosmic worship, whether you call it God or consciousness. So we call it by the name of Shakti, which is part of our cosmic creation. Whereas if we see the Abrahamic part of it, the cosmos is created by a male member, like he's the father. There is no concept of feminine. Like I have often asked, if there is a father, there has to be a mother also. You cannot have a creation without the participation of Shakti. That is simply not possible, or it has been buried. And I mean, this is very important thing of our culture. And speaking about fire, I mean, it's not like it's like accommodating everything. Like the creation and the creator are the same. You cannot just simply remove divinity from the creation and have it the prerogative of the creator. So that is what is difference between our Indus Valley civilization, which is like way back thousands of years. And if you see Agni, like or the fire, the very first verse of Rig Ved, it says, "Fire is my purohit or my teacher." It says, "Om Agni Mile Purohitam Yagyasya Deva Ritwijam Hotaram Ratna Dhatamam." It means, "Oh, you Agni, you are my purohit or you are my first priest, and you will give me everything that I wish. Ratna Dhatamam means Ratna is like gold, like treasures. You will give me treasures. So when Westerners, the people who were not familiar with Indus Valley, they read it. They thought, how come you are worshipping something which is an object? How can it be a part of the god? But we are missing the woods for the forest. What it is telling is that without the these cosmic objects can be invoked. They can respond with appropriate rituals and cosmic rituals. You can invoke consciousness from them. Right now, they look inanimate, but you can make it just like we are conscious. You can even make Agni, which is the attribute of God, you can invoke through the fire. And we don't have that ritual right now, but this is our essence of our Vedic philosophy. I just wanted to add this. Thank you, Fauja, for
It was so beautiful. I would like to take some classes from you. If kindly you leave your number in the private chat, if you don't mind me adding you into WhatsApp. The line you said, that was definitely Sanskrit, and I wanted to learn that from you.
And it is the same thing for Zoroastrian. If you see Zoroastrian, they were also fire
Mm.
worshippers. They were worshipping Varun, which is part of the Vedic tradition, and that was the
Thank you,
first
thank you.
monotheistic religion of the world. Even it precedes Christianity, it precedes all Judaism. That was the first one God concept, which humanity has been obsessed about this right now. They don't want to hear any other nuances around it. So just a FYI.
Believe that, as if Darwin said that we had a common ancestors, monkey and human beings. Like everybody has an origin, the species of the origin of species. I believe the origin of religion. I believe every religion's common mother is the Vedas, because if you read Vedas, it's just the way, kind of, even when the Abraham religion came, Judaism, he was the one who said, well, I'm not gonna offer the offering and whatever was the religion at that time, that they were worshiping nature or idols. And it's kind of, they made that prophecy, well, I'm gonna save my son's life. He was a smart guy who just saved his son's life by not giving the, he has to kind of slaughter his son and give the sacrifice, because it was his turn to sacrifice his son for the drought and for the rains. And that's the people in all, like Angela might know, then if you watch that movie, the Apocalypto of Mel Gibson, the Maya civilization, and here the Maya and the Teotihuacans in Mexico, that they have the Temple of Moons and Temple of Sun, where they would carry princes and people. They would kind of pay tribute and give sacrifices to God. That. But anyways, how it originated, the details. Like, for example, Bible and Quran and Torah says that the earth is 5,000 year old, but science says it's 50 million year old. And that we predict based on the fossils that we discovered. And also for example, like Vedas say the same things. So I feel it's my personal perception of the way of life, which is called Hindu, this civilization which existed across the Indus civilizations, or the the Indus, Bahira Arab, the Indian Oceans. The people who live there, they're so old. They're one of the oldest civilization of the world. So there's definitely be a lot of, like Dan Brown write this book of symbolism. He wrote this book of Da Vinci Code, where he's explaining and undoing the codes and breaking the codes of different things. So I feel like we still need to educate ourselves more, and we need to find more. And please keep coming on the show. I wanted to personally learn from you, And
So, one more thing, Fauja, on this historical evidence, there is a book in Indian textbook called, I can name the book Surya Siddhant. You can Google around, and you would be astonished to know that the book talks about 32,000 years old astronomy. This is not accepted, simply not acceptable by the Westerner biblical thought process. They simply cannot comprehend that you can have any concept of astronomy 32,000 years, and it is fully technical. It's not of, it is not talking about belief. This is a astronomy. There may be nuances, deviations, we do agree, but it is talking about astronomy. So I would like you to, I mean, if we get time, just search around what is this Surya Siddhant.
so now we're
So
gonna
can
end
I say
this.
something?
Yes, please.
Actually, this concept of Indus Valley civilization right now is being debunked in India because recently, I mean, obviously, this scriptural evidence and everything is there. But if you talk about scientifically, like recently, because earlier there were no such scientific means, but now you have the science of geology, you have the science of DNA studies, you also have carbon dating, luminescence dating. So recently, they found some archaeological remains in a place called Bhirana. It's, I think, in Haryana or Rajasthan, and those things where the artifacts that they found were dated back to 9,000 years. So right now you can say that Indus Valley is, first of all, it's not Indus Valley, it's Saraswati Valley civilization, because Indus River was there about 2,000 years ago. But so because when the Greeks came, when Alexander came, uh, by that time Saraswati River had actually dried out. So all they saw was Indus River. So from Indica to India. That's how they named us. Similarly, the Arabs, when they came about 1,000 years ago, they saw the Sindhu River. They could not pronounce Sindhu, so they said Hindu, and from Hindu we became Hindustan. So, but if you look at the actual civilization, it's actually on the banks of Saraswati River, which is on that Punjab, Haryana, Rajasthan, and Sindh belt. And after the Saraswati River actually dried out, that is when people moved out towards Indus, to Persia, to Central Asia, up to Caspian Sea. That is what now the recent DNA studies are actually also showing, that actually all Europeans and all Central Asians have around 0.2% of common DNA with what is called as the Indo-Aryan race. There is nothing called Indo-Aryan race. It's actually the Indian race. So this is now something that has been there is a lot of debate going on right now in India regarding the Saraswati Valley civilization. But one thing I wanted to ask regarding to Angela is because she is a real estate agent, and in India, like we see in a construction industry. In the construction industry, we see a lot of women laborers working in the construction industry, but although they are not paid the equal wages, I've seen that with my eyes. Men get more wages than women, but I don't see a lot of women in in real estate, like for example real estate agent, or working in the service sector, or in the finance sector of the construction industry. Like, what is the situation in US? I wanted to know, like, do they have like women in construction itself? Like, do they have laborers in construction, like women working there, or is it just limited to real estate agents and things like that? Thank you.
Quite the opposite in the United States. You don't see a lot of women laborers in the construction industry. That, again, is sort of one of those things that in America we think that, oh, that's a man's job because it's the hard labor. So you see a lot of women in finance and you see a lot of women realtors, but you don't see a lot of them out on the job sites. Just like somebody came to trim my neighbor's trees the other day, and I walked outside, and out of my mouth came the words were, "Oh my gosh, you guys are women tree trimmers." And they said, "Well, we're called arborists." And yes, we are. But it was just so shocking for me to see that. So it's interesting that over in your country to see women being the laborers and more the men being in the real estate selling side and the construction. So it's opposite over here.
Dr. Sabe, if I can contribute.
Yes, please.
After seeing you both ladies to Angela, August guest of ours, I will start that woman is the best creation of God. And this is what not I am saying. This is what my scriptures have told me. This is what my mother has told me. Because the woman is basically the creation. And to all women of the world, as a messenger of Indus Valley civilization, as a successor of Indus Valley civilization, woman
I was showing that tongue
is
is
the
like
best
kind of
creation
crazy.
of
Just
man.
1 second. My cousins are all on live chat, and I was trying to be funny with them, and I didn't knew. I forgot for a second that I'm live here, because when I see them, I forgot everything. And now, I mean, the way I was making my face, it was not the face for my viewer here. It was the face that I make for my cousins, Angela. It wasn't the face for you. My face for you is always smiley face. And my face for
Ma'am,
my cousin is like,
We are also your cousins.
ma'am, I invite you both ladies to India. Please come, and I'll be your host. I'll give the best possible treatment, all dignified treatment, and please study India. All negatives, all positives, please come and
One more
just
thing, yeah, one more thing I can add
have that.
regarding the historicity. If we study Ramayana, if we study Ramayana, for Indian folks, they talk about the birth of Lord Rama, and the birth of Lord Rama. They align the exact constellation and nakshatra. We call it constellations. The exact constellation in which he was born, the exact month, lunar month, and the solar month he was born. And we can right now, if you know understand astronomy, you can align those planetary positions and the constellations, and you can ascribe a date. And we know that these astrological positions are cyclical. After maybe 12,000 years, based on the precision of the solar systems, they will again realign back. So it can be a multiple of those numbers, but based on that, they have said like it can be like, they said like something 4,000 years back, or sorry, 6,000 years back, or maybe a multiple of that. We don't know. So look at this. If some civilization is talking about precisions, constellations, this is not a paganic or a backward civilization. I mean, we have to give due respect. If someone is talking, even now, people will not be able to understand how the real astronomy was. It's very complicated. Some science,
Ma'am,
some civilization, if it is talking, whether it is Mayan or whether it is any civilization, we have to give due respect to them.
ma'am,
That's my opinion.
whatever the thing, this is, well, I will contribute to Dr. Saiba and Angela ma'am, to you. The highest pedestal in Indian Indus Valley civilization or as a Hindu is given to Ram. Who is Ram? Ram was a son of a king who had three wives and four sons, and Ram was the eldest among them. Why Ram is celebrated among the 1.3 billion people of this land? Ram really.
Johan, wait, give me a second. We have a very precious guest with us. I've been asking him something of Angela, you're here, Shab is here, he's also selling his home, and it's so good, like a coincidence, he just came here. Hi Shab, how are you?
Good. How are you?
It's so good to have you finally.
Thanks for having me.
We have Angela. She is one of the best. Even Jason, Shab need you sell his house. Angela, Shab needs you to sell his house to
I
Angela.
think we had this.
Okay, so Shab, I mean, just tell us. I'm so excited to see your beautiful face and your hair, and I hope all your kitties are good, and I hope you're good. So today we were talking about the markets. Unfortunately, Omaha didn't legalize marijuana, and now Shab is moving to Colorado. And Angela, you and I might be visiting him there, into Colorado too. And Shab is a kind of a chemist, and he's a UNO graduate, and he's kind of a scientist, and he does a lot of stuff, a lot of interesting stuff, and he owns a lot of pet. And one of the best thing about Shab, when his kitty got in, she had one of the very old kitty, which she will tell, she bought the baby diaper and make diaper for her, and she wasn't letting that die, and she made clutches for the cat because she wasn't able to, she was paralyzed from the two legs back. And it's so emotional when you talk about, when you see Shab and everyone's know Shab, the only thing comes is like his pet and his love for pet. Just Shab, tell us something about yourself and welcome to the podcast.
Hi. Like Fozia said, I'm a graduate of University of Nebraska. I'm a chemist, so I have a science background.
Can you put your cam a little bit, Shab? I don't see your eyes. Now it's good. Now it's good. Yeah, perfect, perfect.
I'm a chemist. I've worked as a chemist for some of the major companies and for the university doing research. I'm really into horticulture and botany, and you mentioned, I'm planning on moving out of Nebraska because of the archaic drug laws that continue to do more harm than any good. I mean, I think that's like proven historically, but yeah, that's pretty much it about me. And yeah, like you mentioned, I really love my cats.
Angela, do you have pets?
I had a cat up until about December 3rd. And unfortunately, I had to have her put down. Her name was Sophia Loren.
That's a beautiful name. So, Shab, you tell us something about, there is a strike going on in India, the farmer strike, because I don't know the whole law why they came forward and they've been having a strike. But then I suggest them, if India legalized marijuana, how like charas, I would say, because you mostly charas is something that we call it in our countries. So do you think that their economy will grow? Is any country economy is related to growing weeds?
I think it is listed in the US stock, right? NASDAQ here in this country. Okay, go ahead. Yeah.
Yes, Shab, can you tell us something about how India can prosperous and get benefit if they grow weeds?
Well, as far as I know, India is already a mass exporter of like raw material hemp and hemp byproducts. So like the seeds, the oils, the fabrics, textiles, etc. But I think that's like already something that is going on, if I'm mistaken, it's somewhere in the East Asia. So it's either China or India or Pakistan. They're already producing fiber hemp. how that's going to help the economy, I don't know. I don't think there's like enough of a market share of like global production that hemp takes up that it would be any more viable. And like I said, because of the drug laws and how they've been enforced over the last half century almost, uh, research is pretty much barred. 95% of research grant money comes from the National Science Foundation, and that money is taxpayer dollars, you know. So when say you're some biochemist or you're a materials scientist, and you're trying to develop, get a grant to develop some sort of new textile out of a more sustainable material, and you're requesting funds to start research into some new design or new raw material, when you're requesting funds for a project that goes against federal guidelines on, you know, because the way cannabis currently, well, it's not like this anymore. This was only 2 years ago they changed this, but the way cannabis was scheduled, it had no medicinal use, so it was if I'm not mistaken, Schedule 1, so in the same category as heroin, etc. But that said, the research money hasn't gone into it to get it to the stage where what kind of products can we make with hemp and more sustainable agricultural products that could kind of like reduce the stress on the logistical supply chain for raw materials, etc. I mean, that's where a lot of like the money comes from, is production, is creating goods, creating things from the ground, from creating energy, etc.
Shab, it's so good to have you here. We're gonna talk to you more, and I think I have Angela for like 2 hours, and I thought I won't make it more than 1 hour, but then there were so many good questions coming our way and talking to her. I'm unmuting you, Shab, in a way. Can you? Yeah. So, Angela, it's so good to have you here. Thank you so much for all this time that you were with us, and you know, many people are inviting you to India, and that's also, you said, one of your you know, like the bucket on your bucket list to be going there in 3 years. So so good to have you here. Namaste and God bless you.
Namaste. And my apologies. My son has called me 5 times, and that usually means it's something pretty urgent. So I appreciate your gift of time. I appreciate being here. And as much as I would love to listen to our next guest, I would also like to talk to him, not privately, but outside of this, because I think we are on the same wavelength. But namaste, everyone. Thank you so very kindly. And Fazia, thank you for the invitation. And I will be happy to be on your show anytime in the future. Thank you.
Shab, there is a question for you. Fauzia, you asking about economy from one chemist. How? So how you explain it?
I don't know. I'm not an economist. I don't pretend to understand how the economy exactly works, and I don't think any one person understands it. So I don't have an answer to what's going on in India with the strikes. I'm sure there's legitimate reasoning behind it. Venture capitalism creates like a vacuum for cheap labor and monopolization and centralization of like agriculture and agricultural products. So whatever the plight of the farmers in India, if they're amassing in the tens of millions, I'm sure there's some legitimate reason to it. You
Yeah.
know.
So I can give 2 cents. I don't have the complete picture. If someone has, maybe he can elaborate more. But my 2 cents, what I had been following is the way. So basically, it is about removing the monopoly. What has happened is in India, like if you know how the Asian economy works, it moved from the feudal system, right? I mean, they had very little post-industrial success. I mean, which happened in Europe and America, right? I mean, after the Industrial Revolution. So because of political reasons. So now what is happening is this strike for one thing is happening in one specific. It's not the entire India. It's happening in one specific state, and I would say it has been hijacked by political movements. I mean, the ones which are making in the Twitter and news is totally political. I don't think they understand how farming really works. So what has happened is they removed these so-called feudals, in to lack a better word, feudals. They had the full control of over the sell and purchase of the farmers agriculture produce. So what they are saying is now the law says that you can actually supply, if we understand supply chain market, you can sell in any of these market. You don't have to be tied to one particular they call it in India mandi, or the market. You can sell it even outside the state, and it's good for the market. I mean, that is how the free economy works. I mean, if someone is ready to give you 10 rupees or $2 for a produce, and if another one is giving $4, yes, it makes sense. Why do I need to sell it for $2? But the agitation is by the big people, big money people. Farmers don't have money to undergo such a strike. I mean, it is simply untenable. I mean, they cannot be on the roads and on the tractors. Indian farmers are poor. I mean, if not rich, at least they are not so rich to be undergo strikes for so many months. What these on monopolies, these feudal lords are saying, we will not allow this law to happen. You are going to take away all our fundings. So this is a political side which is making so much of noise than the actual. And kudos to Indian government. They have handled these strikes with much due. They haven't given any force or anything. It had been largely peaceful, except for I think they did something on the 26th of Jan, which is the Republic Day. They hurled some flag hoisting. That is fine. I mean, any democratic society, these kind of venting of your anger is fine, actually, as long as it doesn't, undergo mass riots and other things. I think this is fully democratic.
Thank you so much. And Shab, you had a little bit idea, why I said, because when the farmer strike was going on, I would go and I would taste, why don't they do the cannabis and this CBD oils, which is kind of now prescribed for arthritis and many problem. But now, the thing from an American perspective, Rihanna, she tweeted on India that why nobody's talking about that. This girl, what was her name? Mia Khalifa. I don't know if you know her or not, but you know Rihanna, the singer Rihanna. She talks about that. She tweeted, and then the little girl who is a global warming campaign, and Mia Khalifa. She talks about that, and there was a huge sparks in India about.
So one very quick interruption. Sorry. So these celebrities don't know how onion farming is different than potato farming. Ask them, they will fail. They will flutter. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so that's the thing that what do you think as an American, if our singers are going beyond borders and commenting on problems in India? So do we need to talk about the problem in India, or is just kind of let it go? Shab?
Um, you know, I I'm a non-interventionist. I think the U.S. gets involved when it's a government side of. If it's government, there's no necessity for our governments to be involved in the activities of other governments. That's always been my stance. Protecting and defending innocent people, sure, but sometimes that can be under the guise of, or that can be false pretenses for another agenda. That aside, what private individuals say about certain activism, etc. I mean, that's on them as long as they understand the bigger picture and they understand like what they're doing. I think that the other guest made a very good point about the politicization of activism. That there might be some grassroots, true, justified cause, and it might be at some state or local level, and it might all be legitimate, but politicians, even in America, politicians will seize that opportunity to, like you said, politicize and drive a certain agenda. And that's true with, I think, any major event that occurs. And Greta Thunberg, like you mentioned, that's another one that's highly politicized, but there's no argument about whether or not climate change is real and whether humans have an impact on global climate and our activity and how that has an impact on global climate. There's no question about that. But how that message is delivered and how it's portrayed by various media outlets and various individuals for their own benefit, that is like, that's another story. So I don't, ultimately, to answer your question, I don't think governments should be involved in amplifying voices, because the free market does a great job of, for the most part, of bringing out voices that are stronger than others, that are more true than others, that are more justified than others. Look at the civil rights movement and cannabis reform and criminal justice reform laws. I think it'll that's a good historical example.
Thank you so much. And Shab, when one day we were like going and seeing farmlands, when we were looking for a lands and for growing, because usually you're the kind of guy who want to have chickens and goats and, you know, you, beside being a chemist, you really love, you're tied to this agriculture and farming, and you want to have your own farm. And then when we were looking, and on the way we saw these huge tanks, which you said that they are converting soybean into methanes and the gas. Do you think that's really the energy which is gonna change the oil that we are using right now? Is it the future of the fuel industry?
So with energy, I think this is the area where I would say I think humans could put a lot more focus in, and they'd see a lot better results. And like you mentioned, agriculture has a big part to play in this, but it's not the only part, and I don't think it'll be the biggest part. I think the biggest part up and coming, we keep hearing about nuclear fusion happening. It's only 30 years away, et cetera. And they've been saying that for some time, for half a century now. So we don't know when fusion technology is going to happen, but we do have next generation fission reactors, molten salt reactors that produce far more stable isotopes that have much shorter half-lives and are much easier to store. I think that there's avenues for energy that aren't being explored necessarily, but I think people are making the right steps. Elon Musk with the Gigafactory and the production of new lines of batteries that are hopefully going to revolutionize how energy storage works, and his work with Solar City, if I'm not mistaken, it's Solar City. And work with the Chinese government to subsidize a gigafactory in China. Changing battery production, energy storage is a big thing, and the production of energy itself. I think, like I said, the biggest thing is going to be shifting away from fossil fuels, you need something that can actually produce at that volume. Unfortunately, with solar, you can harvest as much solar electricity as you want during the day, but it has to, unless you have a good storage method, it isn't going to mean anything at night, and on cloudy days, etc. So it's not enough to keep the grid at full load when needed. And I think the same is true for hydroelectric and wind. You just can't rely on them all the time. But the new generation of nuclear reactors, and I think there's another avenue that's being explored right now, which you kind of alluded to, was uh, bioenergy and biofuels. Yeah, we can make ethanol from corn and soybean, making oils from soybean that can be burnt like diesel and kerosene. But the investments right now, like as it stands, it's not as cost effective to produce biodiesels and ethanol fuels as it is to refine petroleum and produce petroleum fuels, the kerosene and octanes, etc. So the natural gases and stuff, I mean, the biggest factor is it looks like cost effectiveness. There's already infrastructure for the refinement of uh, fossil fuels, and the production is almost incessant. It's getting cheaper, and there with new methods being employed, fracking and whatnot. So shifting away is going to be a combination of bioenergy, biofuels, and nuclear energy, along with the traditional hydroelectric, solar, etc. Those are the tried and true methods. But like I said, energy storage is a big factor, and whether or not we see batteries in our lifetime that significantly change the paradigm of energy storage. And I think we're thinking about energy storage somewhat wrong too. There's a lot of different ways to store energy that people aren't thinking about.
So,
Thank you.
so,
Yeah.
so Fauzi, I would like to
So
add
can I
few
add
words.
something here regarding the biofuels?
Both of you can.
Okay, let me go quick thing. I will give it back to you, the other gentleman. So, uh, I think whenever we talk about energy, we cannot forget about Tesla. That is the first name which comes to my mind, and that is like at the time of Edison. So he revolutionized. I mean, the energy we are seeing right now is all due to the ideas electromagnetic effects of art. And I'm by profession an engineering from metallurgical engineering, so I have background in technology. And what Tesla said is like you have a infinite amount of energy in the space time. I mean, in this space, one unit of space time, that is like overwhelming. But unfortunately, I think not much investment has gone through what Tesla had envisaged. I think 100 years back, and we are still talking about hydrocarbons and I would say this in terms of technology, these are primitive wage actually. I mean, that is the first thing you come to know. Okay, we have carbon, you burn it, you generate energy because of exothermic reaction. I mean, that is the still. And we move to nuclear technology, but again, nuclear technology is not fully understood. Like if you see how nuclear fusion occurs in sun, it is not like two helium atom producing hydrogen atom combining. It's like they undergo through a phenomena called quantum tunneling. I mean, the that again, like is too difficult. I mean, if you see like how the plants, I mean, the very basic thing, everything we have, like they generate energy and they don't do hydrocarbon, right? They don't burn anything. They're perfectly eco-friendly, and they do it through a process called photosynthesis, which is again, it is not like light rays falling on these leaves and the photons collide and generate energy. It is not as simple. Nature is hugely complicated. And what they do is like they again undergo quantum tunneling, like they have a lot of complex. Scientists still haven't understood how exactly photosynthesis generates energy. They still are doing research. They are way behind. How the energy is produced in very simple things around, like for example, water. How water is produced? I mean, it's not one hydrogen and oxygen combining to produce one H2O. Any, I mean, person who has understanding of how this works as a scientist or in technology will say no, it's not that simple. You, it's like as the previous gentleman was saying, it is not cost effective. You can produce water, but it is not cost effective to create one molecule hydrogen and oxygen. So we need to learn to be humble. And Elon Musk, I want to say one thing about Elon Musk. Being a critic of Elon Musk, I know I don't need to give any introduction what he is, but as a critic, uh, he invested all his investment in generating energy from batteries. But ask any scientist, he will tell you, as an electrical engineer, he will tell you there is better modes of storing energy. One mode is capacitors. I don't know why he did not think it to invest in capacitors, which is far more effective way of storing energy. And I think Chinese are already doing it. So that it's all about using our right energy investment. Energy means time and money in the right areas and involving the brightest people. I think that is where the focus is missing. Yeah, that is from my side.
The other
Can I
comment,
speak?
Arpan Saha, please.
Now, regarding the biofuel, you see, this is a very catchy, or rather very tricky thing. This is exactly why the farm laws were actually brought. You see, you have to understand in India, what happens is, like for example, let me give you the example of US or Europe. If you are a farmer, first of all, in Western countries, you're not subsistence farmers. Like you don't have 1 acre or 10 acres of land. Normally, generally, you will find people with hundreds of acres of land. So there is an advantage of scale. With scale you can have economy, but in India it's not the case. So in India there has been a huge focus regarding biofuels, particularly ethanol from molasses, ethanol from sugarcane juice, ethanol from rice straw, wheat straw. Because you see, in India, in Delhi, we have a huge problem of air pollution. Now, this air pollution, people might say that is because of cars and everything, but the biggest reason is because of this burning of rice straw or wheat straw, which is called as padeli in Punjab. So what they do is, after the harvest is done, the straw that comes out of the wheat, they actually burn it. But research has shown that with 1 ton, that is 1,000 kilograms of this padeli, you can get about 200 liters of bioethanol. And there has been pilot projects, prototypes have already been done regarding this. Now the problem is, why the scale has not been achieved is because the farmers cannot sell this directly to the plants. There is a middleman. And who are these middlemen? The same people who are on the streets. Because what happens is, suppose 1 quintal of rice today, there is a minimum support price which government pays to the farmers. So this year government is paying around 1800 rupees, Indian rupees, 1800 rupees per quintal to the farmers for 1 quintal of rice. But you go and ask any of the farmers, have they sold? Can they sell it in 1800 rupees? They'll say no. We sell it in how much? 1100, 1200. So where does this remaining 600 rupees goes? It goes to those middlemen who are coming with tractors, who are coming with cars. What they do is, they don't do any farming. They don't even have any land. The only thing that they do is, they buy this stuff from the farmers, and then they sell it to the mandis. And you would be amazed to know that Punjab is like, what, I don't know, it's like 10% of Indian landmass, less than 5% of Indian population. But I'm from Bengal, West Bengal. We are the number one state in terms of rice production. Our 50% of the rice of Bengal is not sold in Bengal. It's sold in Punjab. So these Punjabis, they come with trucks, they buy the rice from our farmers, and then they sell it in Punjab. Because here, if they go to the mandis, they will not get the proper price. So to get this bioethanol thing done, there is a huge push by Modi regarding the bioethanol, because right now they have a target of blending about 20% of ethanol into petroleum. So they can mix 20% ethanol into petroleum, existing petroleum, and they can run cars on that. But because we don't have enough ethanol, so we are only able to blend about 4%, 5% ethanol. But we do have plants, but they are not able to get the raw materials because of this middleman. They buy these things for from the farmers at cheap prices, and then they come and sell them to the factory owners at high prices. So uh, uh, ideally, if you go to Israel, 1 liter of ethanol is about, I think, 20 rupees. In China, it's about 18 rupees. But in India, it costs about 30 rupees to make 1 liter of ethanol. So, but even if it's 30 rupees, petrol is like right now 100 rupees. So it's still economical. So the only reason why these farm laws are needed is because to cut the middleman, so that the farmers can sell them directly. I mean, if they want, they can sell it to the government. If they want, they can sell it to Reliance. If they want, they can sell it to America. They can sell it to Europe, whoever they want, wherever they get the best price. But right now, they are like in a kind of like a feudal system. There is every village has got one landlord, one sardar, or one kind of like a jagirdar who will have money, who has capital. And because if you're a farmer, you don't have capital, you're scrapped for capital, you're always cash starved. So they will go to that big guy, and he has to sell that to the big guy, and then he will profiteer all the middle thing, like 600 rupees in 1 quintal. You can imagine how much these guys are earning in a year. So bioethanol will come. I think that there is a big push for that, and there is also right. I have seen in last 1 year, like there are some 4 or 5 new bikes have been launched, motorbikes, because in India most of the people use two-wheelers, not like in Western countries where you have four-wheelers or more. In India, two-wheelers and three-wheelers are the most prevalent ones. So we say, like in US, there is one advantage: you have got flex engines, you have got flexible engines. So if you want, you can either put 100% petroleum or 100% ethanol. There are like flex engines, but in India we don't have flex engines. You either can put petrol, or if you want ethanol, you have to buy different cars. So right now flex engine cars are coming, but we don't have the fuel because of this old archaic laws. So I think this is something that has to be done, and bioethanol will come. And regarding nuclear, I think nuclear energy also we have a huge advantage because of thorium. Because India, I think, has 60% or 70% of the world's thorium, and unlike uranium or plutonium, thorium cannot be weaponized. So there is no question of proliferation, nuclear proliferation. So actually, Dr. Homi Bhabha actually did 2 stages. There are actually 3 stages required for converting the thorium into reactor grade thorium. So 3 stages were required. So he completed the 2 stages. Third stage was going on, research was going on, but then this Manmohan Singh government signed this bogus nuclear deal, civil nuclear deal with the Americans, and now the Americans have said that you cannot continue with the thorium research. They have handed over all the IPRs, all the intellectual property. Even a lot of our scientists have actually moved on to US, and in US they're actually doing thorium research. We had completed the first 2 stages. They got it. They bought the IPR, and now they're concluding on the third stage. And in fact, you'll be surprised to know that in this thorium is actually found in the monazite form in the sands of in the beaches of Kerala, Tamil Nadu, and there is actually huge smuggling going on. Like people are digging out the sand out of Kerala beaches, Tamil Nadu beaches, and they're smuggling it into China, into America. And I think 2 years back there was a huge news, like there was a sand mafia in Kerala, and sand was being smuggled to foreign countries. So, like, people were wondering who will smuggle sand. I mean, sand is like, who will smuggle sand? Sand is not like diamond or anything. Then they found out that this sand is actually thorium. They have the monazite form, and this is actually rich in thorium. So the Americans are actually working on it. They are working secretly on it. They're also working on the fusion project as well. It's actually I think 10 countries are working on it: US, all the P5 countries, India, Japan, and Korea, and I think Germany. 10 countries are working on that fusion project as well, nuclear fusion reactor. But I think the thorium is the future, and biofuel will also be the future, and solar and wind will obviously be the future. Because India, I think in the last 6 years, we have to give credit to Modi. he has installed some, like, I think 120, 130 gigawatts of solar, more than China, number one in the world right now in terms of and actually it's because of India that solar prices have come down. Today in India, actually coal power plants per unit is about 3 rupees, whereas in China it's about 100 rupees.
Okay. Thank you so much. It's kind of the interruption, something. I don't know if I heard.
And Faujar, I think US will never invest on solar energy because of this nexus collusion between the oil companies. They will never allow to have alternate source of energy. I think that is the politics side of it.
Okay, Shab, do you want to comment on both of these gentlemen? I want to read a comment. It says in 2028, India will be the third largest economy and China will be the first. And very true. And USA would be on the Mars by then. So they would leave the world to the rest of the people because they're also planning to be on the Mars by 2030. Elon Musk has kind of launched this project, and where they will find they might have already a shortcut to go there. So probably that prediction is true, but I'm also predicting that by then USA will be on Mars by 2028, or definitely maybe India would be the world's top economy and China will be the second, and then USA will be on the Mars. Yes, Shap, you heard both of the guests, and if kindly you can comment on them.
I think like you made a good point about. I'm sorry, I'm hearing echo.
Yeah. Your camera, can you make it a little bit down? Yes,
Better?
that's better. Yes, perfect.
Okay. So the first gentleman responded and mentioned something about this recent strike. I can't make any comment about that. I haven't read into it. I don't know what the bill looks like, who this benefits. If what you're suggesting is true, that this is ultimately the people striking right now are the ones benefiting from some old or prior system that allowed them to kind of middleman the situation where they were inflating the price of agricultural products and byproducts. So if that's true, I mean, I more than agree with you that maybe the pretense of the protests are false. I mean, I think that farmers should have a right to, like you said, sell for the price that they see fit. If they see their good can be sold for twice the amount and cut out the middleman, I feel like that helps everyone. And as you said, yes, it's the farmers that are producing the product, that own the land, that own the materials, and they're the ones out in the fields. I have a huge passion for farming and for farmers. I'm a hobby gardener, hobby farmer, I guess, mini farmer. I want to buy a farm soon here somewhere in the countryside. I think I'm going to in the next few months, and kind of play out some ideas I have. But that said, I can't comment on what's going on with the protests. I have not read up on it. I don't know the various sides. It's like you said, it's probably politicized to some degree. As far as energy goes, you mentioned that there's a lack of infrastructure and investment in production and processing, and I think that's the major problem. We're still heavily reliant on the logistical network for production, but that is changing. And I think you also suggested that so I saw a comment there that the farmers are happy with the new law. If that's the case, I can agree with you. I can agree with that. If it's benefiting the people who are actually producing the product, I think that's more fair. The cronyism, the people manipulate products and manipulate the prices on products and make profit from buying massive shares of. I mean, you can look at this recent Wall Street calamity that's happening with GameStop and AMC and a few other major names. But I think that's an example of market manipulation, and I think that's like you can obviously see from a grassroots level down at the bottom, people are kind of fed up with it. So a similar situation happened here. But I think market manipulation of any kind is going to hurt the consumer and hurt the producer. It only stands to benefit those large players in between that have capital. Energy production might change the paradigm of climate change, but not to any significant degree unless there's like a large step towards it in the very near future. As you mentioned, the next generation of thorium salt reactors, yes, it produces fissile material that can't be made into weapons grade. And that's what I was referring to earlier, is that if we want to truly replace our dependency on petrochemicals, it's going to take a huge jump in the direction of new age thorium salt reactors, investment into storage technologies as solar does become more efficient, more cheap to produce panels that have greater efficiency. I think that's another thing is I've been messing around with at-home solar kits. I built a little series system wiring a bunch of 5.5 volt panels together, and they're cheap now. You can find them on eBay for $5-6, and if you wire them up right, you know, you can get 1 kilowatt constant supply at like 120 volts for maybe less than $1,000. But storage is the big thing. I think that's the issue, is energy storage.
I wanted to ask you one question, Shab. The thing that, like, you know, a lot of big you know, this now people are using those who are going out of business, this big malls that were built back when they were very famous in 80s and 90s and even up to 2010. But after the Amazons and eBay, the Alibaba, the online shopping, online stores, and they're only using them for storage. Since you mentioned of Elon Musk, his brothers is also ingrown farmings. You know, what do you think that is the future? Is all about the indoor farming, and how can we produce more in a small, like in a small gated home?
So a lot has changed when it comes to urban and indoor gardening, where we can be 10 to 100 times as productive as we used to be per square meter, per square acre, even. Nowadays, you can build facilities to recycle water, use active cooling methods, and passive cooling methods that rely entirely on renewable energy sources. I mean, I even built my own little mini geodesic greenhouse in my backyard. I don't know if you remember seeing that, but at one point I installed a simple little exhaust fan on it, and it ran all day just off of the sun's electricity, keeping the greenhouse cool during the day, and at night it would just shut off because there's no electricity. But a lot's changing with indoor gardening, and I think you can see that if you go to like some of the grocers today, natural grocers or Whole Foods or Fresh Time, kind of by my house. You've seen this area.
Yes, I do.
But you'll see a lot more goods produced indoors. Right now, it's starting off with like leafy greens, spinach, lettuce, kale, etc. And they can produce massive amounts. I mean, 1,000 square meter facility can produce upwards of tons of lettuce, spinach, kale indoors and use something like 15 or 10% the amount of water, almost have no cooling and energy costs, using entirely passive cooling methods. And then on top of that, you can harvest later into the year in these colder climates where you have winter setting in earlier and staying later. You can go further into those seasons and see bigger yields and whatnot. Another big thing that's changing with agriculture is permaculture's kind of a big thing where people are more focused on the organic approaches to amending soil rather than using raw chemical ingredients and pumping soil full of nitrates and phosphates, et cetera. Instead of doing that, you're inoculating your soil and treating it as a living biome. I think that's another big change, revolution that's happening in agriculture that's kind of slowly showing results. But we're always going to be reliant on mass production of materials like corn flour, corn starches, and raw sugar materials like molasses from sugarcane and soybean oil, etc. So there's major changes in the technology. You can see that with how farmers are using GPS and satellite imagery to analyze fields and soil and determine what's the best nutrient ratio, what's the best way to rotate your crops, etc., how to water. All that stuff is now timed and automated. And but there's also a niche where the everyday gardener can come in and a hobby farmer can still make money. A hobby farmer can still run a small farm on an acreage and be profitable, walk away with, a good profit at the end of the day. There's people doing like micro productions of hops and various berries and fruits that are used in wine production. There's all sorts of like exotic tomatoes, peppers, eggplants, squashes, gourds, etc. Those are still a big thing at farmers markets. People still love seeing that sort of variety. So it's always there, and the technology to support that is also getting much, much better as far as indoor gardening. I mean, nowadays, setting up an irrigation system, you can buy all the materials on Amazon to build an at-home irrigation system, a drip irrigation, something like that, for 5 to 10% the cost of what it took 10, 15 years ago. And with the advent of YouTube, you can watch all these videos that, everyone's out there showing you how to be a professional with this stuff, how to do it yourself. All of these have been like a significant advance in farming, agriculture, both to the individual and at scale.
Thank you so much, Chab. We have Nitin Thakur. Nitin, you were trying to say something and then you wanted to get in the chat group. Now you're here with us. Do you want to add something, or do you have any question from any of our guests or me? We lost Nitin because it says, Kashan, do you have any questions since you have been in the studio for a very long time and you have been waiting?
Hi, Fauziya, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay, great. You touched a question which is very close to my heart, and actually, I wanted to ask that myself. When you talk about urban agriculture or vertical agriculture, did I get lost? Hello?
We can hear you. I just muted my voice so we don't have this echo problem. Yeah, we are listening to all of you. I mute the rest of us, and the one guest who is speaking, he's speaking at a time. And we are all listening to you. We're all here. Yeah, keep talking.
Great. Just saying that, it's, I think, what we call hydroponics or vertical agriculture. It is currently spreading like anything in the US, and I do feel that in very near future, it is going to enter, the Indian economy in a big way, because we probably see, opportunities coming up. We have a lot of warehouses, go downs, and a lot of spaces, where previously companies were working. So the workspaces, the need for workspaces has shrunk, and there is a lot of real estate which can be remodeled and reutilized for this sort of agriculture. I mean, it is happening in the US, and I don't see any reason why it won't happen here. The only thing is that since urban agriculture requires relatively more amount of energy, even though it's very efficient way of producing uh, food products. We just need to figure out which is going to be the least polluting way of producing electricity, especially in a country like India, which is already very polluted. So, if anybody can share some light, whether using biofuels or using
Sorry, I guess we lost him. So he was talking about the vertical farming or the hydroponic and the biofuels or electricity something. Shab, do you want to comment on that?
I mean, it's definitely accurate that hydroponics is kind of making a big revolution in at least urban agriculture. People do enjoy tinkering around with that stuff. It's more efficient, much lower water usage. I mean, I can tell you from personal experience, I've ran several hydroponic experiments outside, ranging from tomatoes, watermelon, various herbaceous species, etc. They all perform much better in a hydroponic setting. You also have the benefit of constantly maintaining a perfect nutrient balance with your crop, whatever it may be. You can monitor that using simple, what is it, conductivity meters or TDS meters, whatever you want to call it. You can monitor your nutrient regimen, and so you're not overdoing it, you're not underdoing it, and it's pretty simple stuff. You don't need expensive equipment. You don't need people to come out and pay tens of thousands of dollars for a soil analysis, etc. It's materials you can get relatively cheap on Amazon and eBay. You can buy pH meters and dissolved salt meters, conductivity meters to check your solution matrix. So there's a lot of benefits that come to hydroponic, and not only the saving energy costs, saving water, but higher yields and a better product. And of course, when you take up vertical space in some of these urban farms or warehouses where they're producing kale and mustard greens, spinach, lettuce, etc., you're producing 10 to 20 to 50 times as much in a given location using a fraction of the resources. Right now, the way we have things set up is it's not scaled to efficiently produce any vegetables we want or any agricultural products we want. There's just some that it can hit. It's not a one size fits all solution. Hydroponics isn't going to change the world and save us from climate change just as much as ethanol isn't going to save us from ourselves and climate change. But these are all cogs in the bigger gears grinding, where we have to kind of refine the machine right now. We have to figure out what are things that are working and are sustainable practices, and what are things that can be transitioned out while also maintaining, say, energy consumption or maintaining the load on the grid. How do we transition away when a large segment of your energy demand and energy production comes from petrochemicals? how do you transition away from unsustainable farming practices when you have so much of the logistical supply chain of so many different industries relying heavily on those agricultural inputs and outputs? Um, so another thing that's kind of been helping with, at least in agriculture, as far as I understand it, is the biofuels and ethanols and alternative fuels are making an impact. Farmers are, I think it's through subsidization through the government, but farmers are being subsidized for their fuel costs, and there's conversions to technologies where that use sustainable fuels. Um, but like I said, these aren't a one size fits all solution. It's many things happening over and over within the machine that each have a significant enough role to play where it's going to kind of tip the scales, hopefully. But we'll see in the future how that comes out.
Thank you so much, Shab. Kushan, you're back here
Can I
with
add
us.
something on this?
Yes, please, please.
Yeah, I want to say regarding India, because in India's context, I think one of the things that is happening right now is we have to understand that because of this subsidization, there is a
Your voice is breaking. Just wait. The voice was breaking here. I just put it down in the studio and getting him up again. I hope it will helps. Hello, can you hear me? Can you speak a word because your voice was totally breaking down? Uh,
Yeah, can you hear me? Yeah,
yes, I can
I
hear
had
you.
some
Yes.
I had some internet problem. Yeah, I was saying that regarding India, I think right now the biggest push is on soil degradation because of this excessive use of fertilizers and taking out water from groundwater. There is a huge scarcity of groundwater right now. They are actually in Punjab, for example, because of subsidies and all these things. Right now, water they are actually pumping about 2,000 feet into the ground for getting water. 2,000 feet. Can you imagine? 2,000. They have bore wells that go up to 2,000 feet, and they pump out water out of the bore wells, and then they farm the wheat and rice and all these things. And then there is a issue of soil degradation because of fertilizers. So right now the biggest I think focus is on organic farming. I don't know about this vertical farming thing because in India, farmers are mostly subsistence farmers. So I think the biggest push is on organic farming right now, how to use as much as organic content as possible. And I think diversification of agriculture towards energy, I think I think very important regarding bioethanol or even methanol from coal, because the kind of coal that you require for making methanol is actually available in India. Because in US coals, I mean, I think I don't know about the exact detail, but I'm told that the US coals are not actually fit, whereas the Indian coals are the most dirtiest coals, and these type of coals are the most appropriate ones for converting into methanol. So there is a huge push towards ethanol and methanol. And I don't know about other things, but I think three things. I think soil degradation, so organic farming, and and also, by the way, drip irrigation, which you talked about. Drip irrigation has become a huge craze in India thanks to Israel. Israel has given us the technology, and right now, like drip irrigation, there is also a huge focus on saving water. So I think these will be the future areas for India. Thank you.
That's so nice. These questions are so good. Questions are coming our ways. New technology is
So,
non-chemical.
so Fauja, I would
Yes.
like to add one more point.
Just please. Kindly.
So Brazil, if you see Brazil, they started mass producing ethanol back in 1979. I think they are self-sufficient. All their vehicles are using not the ethanol-based fuel. So I think there is some technical reason why India could not adapt to that technology. I'm missing that, but maybe someone can cover that if anyone have followed that article. But I know that Brazil is fully self-sufficient, was fully self-sufficient in ethanol based.
Yeah, can I answer that?
Yes, please. Yes, please.
You see, this policy of ethanol was not there. We have to understand that this policy has been pushed only after 2014. Once Modi came and Nitin Gadkari became the transport minister, he has pushed this idea of biofuels into the automobile sector. Now, the problem that has been happening since then is, first of all, regarding the raw materials, because like I said, that you need rice straw, wheat straw, sugarcane, then corn. So who do you buy it from? And who will produce it? Obviously the government cannot produce it. The private sector will build factories and then they will produce the ethanol. But from whom will they buy the raw materials? From whom will they buy the corn and the wheat? They have to buy from the middleman. So what was happening till now is that because they had to buy from the middleman, so the cost was going up, the production cost was going up, so they were not making enough money, and hence they were not building enough factories. There was not much investment coming into it. So the push right now is that, first of all, the raw materials, cost of raw materials, logistics cost, transportation cost, that has to be brought down. And once that is brought down, then automatically you will see that already you will find that last year Bajaj has launched a new flex engine bike two wheeler. TVS has also launched a new two wheeler on flex engine, which means flex engine is like you can either run it on 100% petrol or 100% ethanol. So you go to the pump, whichever you want to put in, you can put it in 100%. So they have already launched it, and next year, by the next 2 3 years, you will find more and more flex engine automobiles will be coming up. And once the demand is there, then automatically people will move to it. That's what I think.
And I think there is one more thing to be covered as an economist. There is a phenomena called Dutch disease. And what it means that anything which is in oversupply, which is more prevalent, then it will have a negative impact on the economy. Let's say you have an ethanol based economy. So Brazil, okay, Brazil has surplus of sugar cane, right? In India, like if we make incentivize this ethanol based agricultural product, like primarily from sugar cane, then what will happen is all this rice and wheat cultivation will move to one only to sugarcane, because it will be more productive, I mean more profitable, right? It is a cash crop, like directly you are producing oils alternative. So all your production will, all the rice and all the tomato, all the land produce will ultimately move to one particular type of production, and that will impact, in a different way. I mean, the economist understands this in a better way. So maybe anyone can comment on that.
Sure.
Hello,
Yes.
can I say?
Yes,
No,
please.
but right now you see already wheat surplus, rice surplus. We are also sugarcane surplus. Like we have a glut. Like our cold storages are not able to hold wheat. Right, we have so much wheat. In fact, in lockdown, somebody said that we don't have any problem with lockdown because we have got so much wheat that we can feed the entire world for the next 2 years, because there is a demand excess. I'm sorry, supply excess. So because we need to diversify on our agriculture. Right now, this Punjab, Haryana belt is only producing wheat. Bengal, Orissa is only producing rice. So once I don't think that there should be a problem if we diversify, because we already have a supply excess. So I don't think there should be any problem.
I want to ask one other question from Shab. Usually in America, what they do, what I heard, we went to this. Sorry, I'm muting this guy, Nathan. Nathan, can you mute yourself, please? Yeah, thank you, Nathan. अच्छा, ये काइंडली नितिन यू म्यूट योरसेल्फ, तो शोर वो कम हो जाता है. I had a question, if you see this dumpster where many people, when they cut their, like as you says, the one guy said that when they are putting fire to the grain, the wheat, when they take the main wheat and then the rest they put fire to it. So aren't we using that mulch for the soil and other organic, it in America because we are also one of the largest growing. We are the largest state who grows corn here in Nebraska, and when you take the corn, then the rest of the grass, the bigger things stick. They are converting it into mulch, or they're converting it into hay stacks, like for the soil, for the food for the horses, and then also, they're putting that layers of when they're growing grass, I don't know, kind of covering with it. So Shab, tell us, beside putting, burning it, which is kind of a waste, to something which can be recyclable.
All organic material has some sort of benefit to the
There's too much
microbiome
echo coming
of
in.
the soil, right? So everything that I think that it's a tried and true method, the burn and turn. You burn your previous crop, the unwanted material, or you have livestock come in and they're eating away at stalks and some of the material left behind, etc. The things we don't consume to produce further products. But then, the livestock are also passing that through their system and providing more nutrient for the soil. But these are at like the very kind of organic level, at the individual. This is a very difficult thing to scale up, to see a permaculture throughout every major farm in soybean and corn production and sugarcane production, etc. So you have to come up with solutions that enable the natural biome, what we would understand would exist without the use of these modulators. Using raw phosphates and nitrates into the ground, and using magnesium and Epsom salt, which are tried and true methods. It works. These methods work. The problem is you're concentrating already fixed nitrogen, already oxidized phosphates into the soil, hoping the plant will uptake it then. But that leaves nothing for the soil. That leaves the soil with one purpose in its entire existence. I mean, soil, you take a sample of soil, there are thousands of different species of fungus and bacteria floating around in there, all with life cycles that involve complex organic molecules and interactions and biochemistry that all supports and has for hundreds of millions of years plant life. There's a symbiotic relationship between the soil microbiome, and the plants. So that's a difficult thing to scale up at a systemic level, but that isn't to say it's not possible. One thing I mentioned was permaculture, the practice of kind of raising a microbiome on a living sort of acreage. You're treating your soil as a living thing.
And one other question, quick question from all of you, because we are almost 3 hours and I've kept all of you for so long here, and everybody must be getting tired right now. Shab, a real quick questions. Like I was seeing from Japan, in Japan, they build like one tree, and then on the tree they build tree, on that tree they build tree. Can we do like if we build one mango tree, and then instead of building 100 mango tree on an acreage, can we do like one mango tree and then keep attaching mango tree to it, then mango tree to it, then mango tree to it, like doing the way we have in infrastructures, we are making skyscrapers. So is it possible that we build tree over tree over tree over tree, a skyscrapers farming?
Like three-dimensional growth is isn't unheard of. It's about how high can you build the structure and can you support it. So that's like it's all possible. But then there's other. That's just a technology that assists with growth and utilization of space and growth. Um, but it's possible, sure. There's also techniques to graft and GMOs, modifying organization organisms. Sorry.
GMO, genetically modified, yeah.
So GMOs are going to have a big role to play in all this too. I mean, um, the corn and soybean here produced by some of the companies are drought resistant and tolerant of pests and tolerant of insecticides and whatnot. So
So
the type of agriculture that's happening right now that's high tech, that's going to be needed. And they're coming out with, mangoes can only grow. So I'll give you an example. Mangoes can, as far as we know, or historically have seen, there's certain regions where mangoes are cheaper. And why is that? Why is that the case? Well, it's because they're grown closer to that region. The climate is good to grow mango.
yeah, like anar in Kandahar.
Right, exactly. But imagine you had a uh, a breed of mango that you could develop that was cold hardy and grew where something like the Arctic kiwi could grow, and you could change how, because right now we're also kind of another dynamic to this is where are the source of the raw materials coming from for some of these crops, because we're consuming a lot of it. It's corn, it's soybean, it's sugarcane, etc. Um, but we may have in the future designer plants like mangoes that grow in trees in the cold zone, cold tundra of Siberia, or the North Boreal forests, or we might have bananas that ripen out and oranges that ripen out on a farm in Nebraska. We could also be utilizing new techniques with geothermal, but that's a whole other discussion. Heating up a greenhouse just using Earth's latent heat, and you could have year-round production, and that would change everything with agriculture. Um, but those are other discussions. So, like I said, there's a lot of different ways that you could like implement these ideas. Could you build a tree like a skyscraper? Oh yeah, there's concepts. I've seen some uh, engineers draw out ideas for structures that rely living structures that rely entirely on networks of trees that grow throughout, and the root system creates kind of like solidity to the overall structure. Yeah, I don't understand engineering concepts too well, but I mean, it's a very futuristic idea, and I think it would be very cool to like maybe surround it with
Okay,
concepts.
as we know, like before we don't had the oil, now then we have oil, now we have Tesla, we have batteries. There was a direct current, the Thomas Edison's, and then due to the alternative current, AC current, the DC AC fight with the Tesla and Thomas Edison's. That's a huge things to talk about, that how people want to sustain what is in their best interest, not is in the best interest of the people and cheaper and better. If you read the story of all the Thomas Edison, the AC and DC current. And now my question was to wait, yeah.
Faudia,
Sorry.
on that Tesla thing, I remember what Edison had said sarcastically about and with full contempt about Tesla, that he rejected, basically he rejected his alternate current theory, and stated that the entire world would get electrocuted because of alternate current, and he completely rejected it. I mean, Edison, he totally underestimated the vision of Tesla. And look, imagine, like, had Edison be some kind of god figure that we generally tag to, like we are talking, for example, Tesla, we should not assign that. Like we should allow the other folks to come out listen to their ideas and give merit. So imagine the world would have been the way Edison had thought. We would have been still using DC current, not alternate current, and we would have been talking about energy needs.
Very true. I was adding and coming, making the same point, and you elaborated so well. So I will just come straight to my questions. Now people says that on Mars there is no life, or who's going to be the first economy, who's going to be the second economy. We're so like running so fast that who's gonna grab the US positions from the third to second and from the second to first. And I guess that's everything the human beings is currently living on, and they're not living on the innovations giving something better to the humanity which can benefit everyone, because we Indians believe in Vasudeva Kutumbakum. Vasudeva Kutumbakum mean like world is one family. And the thing which just come to my mind, as you mentioned before, like since my background is from biology and zoology, I've studied a little bit of freshness of my memory with the knowledge of photosynthesis. Photosynthesis is what a plant take water from the soil through xylem and phloem, they go up into the leaves take sun from the sun, of course sunlight, and then in the plants they convert it in thylakoid cells in the stroma of this chloroplast, chlorophyll, the green pigment in the leaves, and through stomata, which is the leaves in the holes in the leaves, and they are making sugar and generating carbon dioxide, and by just consuming water and carbon dioxide from the air in the presence of sunlight, they are making something for themselves, which we later eat, is the fruit and sugar and carbohydrates, and also the carbon dioxide which we inhale in the respirations, and so is the plant respirations. So processing food for themselves, plant is giving so much to us. That's why we worship life and living things. And now my question would be again the same thing, that rather by fighting on and creating a kind of chaos and controversies and this crazy conspiracies, wouldn't be better if we think on the new innovations and kind of vertical farming, hydroponic farming, and also the anastomosis, where one tree you grow, just try to find what would be the alternative to get water from, how sun would be always there shining on us, giving us so much energy. Solar energy is there, and not only to the solar panels, but sun is always high, rising, it every day rises for us. How to consume that, how to make it better for the living being, every living being on earth. This concept that I had, like kind of built one tree, like in your heart, when the aorta goes up, they have brachiocephalic and common carotid and subclavian artery, which goes through the body, and then it gets the femoral artery, the cubital, the popliteal arteries, and it goes to the jugular, to the brain, and kind of, if you see, they're all having the anastomosis, they're connected with each other. So let's connect with each other, as in nature everything is connected. So we human beings have to find more innovative way. I'm so happy today by having so many smart people on this show, our engineers, our chemists, and our the real estate agents, the business owners, and we're all here to contribute to this Mother Earth. If any last questions, we have one last guest here too. He was trying to access Natvir Lal Patel. If you have any question for me, or you want to give any message, because now we will be ending this show, and I'll see you tomorrow with two of the nice.
Thank you very much for joining me in your meeting. And right now I'm in USA, but most of the time I spent in India, and particularly in Bihar sector. And I was very much associated with sugar industries. And I have seen the sugar industries and the molasses distillation, but the quantity and the season gets over, we don't get that feedstock more. So, like a Brazil, USA is working with the corn. The corn syrup they use is for making ethyl alcohol. And of course, in USA, corn is plenty, where India does not have their own for eating food purpose. But India, this is all agricultural farmers, they are agitating. They should think on these products where they can earn more money rather than keeping a high on the MSP and this and that thing. I think I suggest all our Indian friends. Of course, I am in the USA. I'm a US citizen, but I keep a track on a lot of technical matters on water, food, organics, plastics, and recently we have just promoted one company in Jamshedpur where we take care of the environment by using the plastic for making payment bricks from the waste plastic. Thank you very much for allowing me to talk to my all friends.
Thank you so much for coming and joining us. It was such an honor seeing you here on our show, and thank you for the wonderful message. Shab, do you want to say anything? Do you want to add your last words?
Thank you for having me. I will see you next time. If I decide to get back on to YouTube.
So much. I'll keep sending you the link, and keep sending you the link, and finally we will have you more, because I want to talk to Shab more. Shab is a very interesting guy. He's doing adventures in many field of farmings, and if you any one of you want to get hold of him, maybe in the coming next show we will elaborate and talk in details about his project. Maybe he is the son of Bharat who's gonna Shab is from the Hindu Kush mountain, and even his company logo is the Hindu Kush mountains, and he's been into Afghanistan, and he served in the US military. Thank you for your service, and he's been a wonderful kid, and he's been
Yes,
doing great.
and to see, I'm a fan of your all programs.
Ji sir.
I'm very fan of your all the YouTube programs, and I always like to watch and listen.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Yeah,
Like
it's very interesting to.
Arif Bhai, Tariq Bhai, these are the people I'm always admire their and their guts to come out with the truth.
Mute.
Yeah, correct.
Sorry, I was mute. I was talking about this guy, Ahmad Khan, who says Pashtuns are Turkish. I don't know, Pashtun peoples are Turkish. I don't know from where he's getting. Many people talk from their tummy, and we call it tamology. तो द टमी एंड टमोलॉजी, या पेट से जो है ना पेटोलॉजी, पेट जो होता है ना, कुछ लोग पेट से बातें करते हैं, जिसका मैंने एक बनाया है पेटोलॉजी, जिस तरह एक पेटोलॉजी होती है ना.
So Fauja,
जी सर.
Afghanistan has been a melting point of all civilizations.
Yes,
From Afghanistan, from Mahabharata.
yes,
It
yes.
comes from Mahabharata, and there lot of Kushan Empire, like when Buddhism was on its peak, Kushan Empire, all these areas, Afghanistan, Turkestan, were part of Indian civilization in Kushan Empire. That was just before the Guptas, and even in the period of our Kashmiri. Kanuska, I think I forgot the empire that also extended. So lots of ifs, and Pashtun as a tribe had seen lot of influx. I do agree had been a lot of invasion from Turkish to Uzbeks and Arabs, Persian, and now Afghanistan. The language Dari itself is a Pashto, is a Persian mix. But they still haven't lost the connectivity from the Indian Hindu Kush mountain, the Indus Valley civilization, and Fauja is a living embodiment for that. I mean, that is why we are so happy to have Fauja. She represents her connection with the mother of our civilization, which is Indus Valley civilization.
Thank you so much. So nice to listening to all these wonderful words, and I'm just flattered. जी वर्दिक आर्या हमारे साथ है, आप मैसेज देना चाहते हैं अपना?
Yes,
Yes,
I gave
I
just
gave
now.
just now.
I was
I was
Vedic Arya
Vedic
only.
Arya only.
ओके एंड हमारे साथ है अर्पण साहा. अर्पण साहा, कैन यू अनम्यूट योरसेल्फ? ही म्यूटेड हिमसेल्फ. सो
I just wanted to
यस.
say कि आज जो है बहुत ही मतलब अच्छा डिस्कशन हुआ है रिगार्डिंग दिस क्लाइमेट चेंज एंड एवरीथिंग एंड Angela as well. And you all look beautiful today.
Sorry, your voice is so
आप
much
शैली
breaking.
ऐसे
Thank you so much. I heard the message you were thanking me. You're thanking Angela because your voice is so breaking. Sorry, Saha. Natulal Patel, Natwirlal Patel. Ji sir.
Thank you,
Thank you,
person who
person
knows
who
Houston,
Houston,
Texas.
Texas.
Thank you so much. Thank you for joining us. You
Thank
have
you
a
all.
wonderful weekend. I hope you. Is it as cold there as it's in our state? We're going -5, and I'm going to shovel the snow now.
Houston is
Houston is
cold,
cold,
but
but
not
not
that
that
as
as
much as
much.
like Ohio or New Jersey or New York. It's a cold, and we expect by tomorrow and day after tomorrow maybe snowfall.
Wonderful. We are already having it. It's one of the coldest day in kind of the in few years. It was so nice to have you all. Vande Mataram, Bharat Mata ki Jai,
Jai
Jai
Hind.
Hind,
Jai Hind.
Vasudeva Kutumbakam. ये मेरे लिए क्वेश्चन है कि आरिफ अजाकिया आपके चैनल पे आएंगे या आप उनके चैनल पे जाओगी? जी मैं वो मेरे चैनल पे आएंगे. आरिफ अजाकिया will be our guest here, so kindly bring your friends, make prepare your questions. If you have any question from Arif Ajakia, from the perspective you see the world, you want to see the Bharat, you want to see the India, that would be wonderful. Like we will be having him.
And
And
Fauja,
Fauja,
next time I
time
will
I will
prepare
prepare
myself
myself the show.
how
How
Pashtuns were
Pashtuns were
originally
originally
Hindus
Hindus
and
and
Buddhists,
Buddhists,
and
and
how they
how they
had
had
given a
given a
tough
tough
fight to
fight to
Ghazni
Ghazni
before they
before they
converted to
converted
Oh,
to
Islam.
Islam.
wonderful!
I will
I
come
will come
prepared.
prepared.
I will
I will
come
come
prepared with
prepared with
facts.
facts.
That's so true. Yeah, we are gonna talk about our Prithvi Raj Chauhan and the Ghawaris and Ghaznavis, and of course we're here to
Please.
go into the past, into our root, and connect that to the future. We're so ready to keep our foot in the future, to be the India is already the first world. The future mean that all the new innovation that we talk, now we have our own land, our own motherland, our own mother, who's gonna we're gonna do wonders there. भारत के सब बच्चों को और भारत के सारे सिटीजन को जहाँ जहाँ पे आप हो, जब तक सूरज निकलता है तब तक जिस तरह हम भारतीय बहनों की बिंदिया इसी तरीके से आबाद रहे, और जब तक सूरज है, जब तक चांद है, तब तक हमारा भारत है. वंदे मातरम, भारत की जय, जय हिंद, और जय माता की. God bless you. And happy Valentine for tomorrow. Make sure you send some flowers. I got mine already. Good night and good day.